to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, if you were to ask if I had a fantastic conversation with a wonderful guest who's made such a fun character ready to go, well, my answer would just simply be, yeah! Today's guest is Napoleon Chavez, an animator, character designer, and a lovely ukulele player who uses all these skills and more to create the ever-charismatic CordaRoy the Rat. I have loved every single CordaRoy short that is out there, and I knew I had to get Napoleon on to talk about how CordaRoy came to be and then some. And I'm so glad that I got to have this conversation because, as you can probably tell from the length already, we had a lot to talk about for a rat that just says one word. If you enjoy our guest, please make sure you support him with the links down in the description below. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. I see that stuff, and it genuinely makes my day. If you want to go a little further with that support, may I recommend you check out the merch shop at fourthwall.com. We have some outstanding designs as done by some amazing artists, including the incredible logo design, whether it's the standard one you see or any of the Pride variants that we have. I think you would look sensational in it today, so check the link in the description below to get some of that sensational streetwear today. And look, if all you want is a nice, cool, casual place to where you can meet other artists in this community, even potentially a few of the guests that have been on this podcast, and just genuinely help the community grow, may I recommend you check out our Discord server, the Artist Sanctuary. We have really grown as a group, especially in the past couple months or so. So if you want to be part of that growing community today, check the link in the description below to join the server today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know I sent you that message like months ago or whatnot, but obviously life had a completely different, story on why you didn't reply otherwise, and I totally get that. That's why, like you were saying, yeah, it's 1 p.m. for me. I get that's 10 a.m. for you because, hey, you kind of had to deal with some stuff in California. I get that. I understand. So I am glad we are finally getting the chance to do this because you've been someone that I just love every single time you release like a new animation and stuff. So this is really awesome to get a chat with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Nathan. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I see you're wearing I see you're repping the shirt.
Of course, I had to.
Very cool.
Well, I mean, one, I figured it was kind of part of the reason why you even thought about wanting to come on the podcast anyway, because you saw the teaser with because
I saw the thumbnail, just like in my feed. I was like, oh my gosh, and I have this bad habit every now and then of like, there's so many different things going on at once.
Yes,
and it's like, I'll see something, I got to get back to it. And then, like you said, life has its own plans, and then things get in the way. And then seeing you pop up with the t-shirt on, I was like, oh my gosh, I still need to get back to Nathan. So.
Okay. I didn't realize you'd even seen the message in the first place. I figured it got lost in the shuffle of a million different things, but I appreciate it.
It was like a long message. I saw it and I'm like, I got to get back to him. Like, I think like after this, I got to get back to like a college professor that I need to like, cause like if I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, I just want to like, not be like, oh, I don't know. No. It's like, oh, okay. I see that somebody messaged me. Let me give them like actual time.
Okay.
Like when I have it, because I just don't want to like do like a half-ass message and then it marks it as read or something,
Right.
And then it's like out of my mind because it's not a little bubble that's there. So, but yeah, I definitely wanted to come on the podcast. I was even a little not weirded out, but just like. Somebody wants to talk to me about this. Like, it's just like this little cartoon that I make, and like I think I spend a lot of time in my own world making it. That I kind of like. It could be an isolating thing sometimes, like making these cartoons. Like, I'm sure you understand, like making your podcast, like any kind of creative endeavor. It's a very fun idea. Like, how many times have you heard somebody say, I want to do a podcast where I talk about movies? And it's like, okay, everyone and their dog has that podcast.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's one thing to have the idea and then it's another thing to actually like put in the work and do it, you know?
And then it's a whole nother thing
That's
to actually put in that work once you put it in there. And then there are people out there that you may not even know in the first place that instantly like actually love and appreciate it and want to see more of it. And you're just like, oh wait, huh? What? Really? Huh?
right. But that also only happens if you are like, you know, putting in the work and taking that time, which
Absolutely.
you're obviously doing. Fantastic. I think there was like I remember way back in the day there was I don't know if you remember, it was like maybe like mid 2000s, the 2010s, like if you remember the company Rooster Teeth
Yes.
online.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they had this thing when they would do a podcast, and they've talked about it on their podcasts, like I think like their early ones, that they were record like 6 of them and do tests, like audio and video tests, and like figure out the dynamics, figure out if the audio worked, figure out like what the structure of the podcast is. They would do like 6 versions of it first before they release episode 1.
Wow.
And I remember thinking of that, like whenever I thought about making something, that was always a thing in the back of my head of like, you don't got to release the first one.
Right.
Just kind of like workshop it. Make it be something that like you're comfortable putting out there. Because I've even seen so many people, like friends of mine, that they'll like record something for 20 minutes with their friends and then put it out. It's like, what is this? Like, it's like it's like this is a voice memo on your phone to your friend. Like, this isn't a podcast. Sorry, I don't even know. I completely got off.
No.
Tangent.
Honestly, this is great. I love hearing this kind of like mentality and thought process because I get it. Like, what's funny is you'd even mentioned like, hey, that like they would workshop it like 6 different times before they actually put it out. Not me. It's one of those like I took my first attempt, I put it out there partially because if I didn't put it out there, I would be disappointed in myself because I want this is something I wanted to do and like just get it out there in the world and then start making steps to like make it better. But also partially I could look back on it and I could just simply cringe at like Jesus Christ, why didn't I learn to do this or why didn't I do that? Like that like
Right.
there's always two sides when it comes to that, and I've heard like several of other people like there are YouTubers I watch these days that go back and watch some of their older videos and like part of it's like reminiscing and part of it is also like Jesus Christ, I actually said this thing or I actually did this thing, like what in the world.
I mean, I think like that's, you talk to anybody who's put themselves out online, they have the exact same feeling.
Yes.
Like there's old YouTube videos of me when I was maybe like, I don't know, like 11 out there. So like,
oh yeah,
I know the feeling. What was I gonna say? There was but you touched on something of like you have all this stuff that you can go back to. Where I remember in high school I got told once by like a really good friend of mine, because I had an idea for something. I said, oh, but I'm not good enough to make that yet. Like that's like a bigger, more high concept idea. I can't like that's not a video I can make yet. And then he said like, well, just go ahead and make it. Like you're never going to be good enough. Like what does that mean? When do you decide you're good enough to make that idea?
exactly.
Just make it. You make all the mistakes on it, and then the next thing you make, you've learned from the mistakes on that first thing. And then you put that thing up on the shelf and you make the next thing, and then you put the next thing on the shelf. And it's like you can make like this list of mistakes, but then you're like making stuff and having stuff on the shelf. You have like a library of, now it's called content. Before it was videos. Like but it's like you have this library of content that, let's say an employer sees it or a client or somebody will be like, oh, we're more inclined to hire this person because this person has been making stuff this whole time.
Yeah.
Like they're not waiting for somebody to give them an assignment. They're making their own path. So it's like, oh, self-sufficient person. This is somebody we'd want to work with. Like it's way more impressive to have like a library of things because again, it goes into like you're putting in the work.
No, honestly, that's it's that kind of mentality and that kind of stuff is why I love bringing on artists and stuff, because like for a lot of people, like it's not like they're not working on their craft, especially like a lot of the artists I bring on, they take the time and they've had those struggles, they've had those hurdles, they've got to go through that kind of stuff. And sometimes especially like what you were saying, you had that friend that just straight up told you like just go ahead and make it, like make the mistakes or whatnot. Sometimes you need that person out there just kind of let you know, hey, this weird thing that you kind of like been toying around with and want to like make a reality, make it, like put it out there, get it out there in the world, learn from it and then continue to do more with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What inspired you? What inspired you to want to do a podcast and talk to artists?
So I have always had, like, I've been toying around with this kind of concept since I was in college, because I went to college for filmmaking, for mass media, TV, film, all that jazz.
Yeah.
I've also always been a person that loves kind of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, I'd be the kind of person that would sometimes, when I get a DVD, I would watch the special features before I watch the actual movie, because I love that kind of like behind the scenes content stuff. And so when I was in college, I wanted to emphasize, obviously, like, I wanted to, because I was trying to go into filmmaking, I was thinking of doing it of like directors, writers, producers, those of that level, because when it comes to movies, especially like live action ones, all people really focus on is either the directors or mainly the actors. Like, you think about an actor's performance and all that kind of stuff, but like, you don't think about like, well, what was the writer thinking of when they wanted to like put out this scene, or like, how did the producer like translate this from X to Z or something along the lines of that. But then I got out of college, started working, COVID happened, and I spent a lot more time online. And as I spent a lot more time online, there was two major things that happened. It was one of those, like, one, I was noticing that there were artists out there that had that platform, then they turned out to be pieces of shit, to put it bluntly. And then there was also, like, obviously, being online a lot, you see a lot of amazing art pieces out there. But then, like, especially, I can imagine, you probably experience this. People will like see the art, or like they'll see the fun little thing, and then they'll just move on. Like, they won't even want to think more about, like, hey, this is really cool. Like, what led you to do this kind of thing? Or, what was the inspiration? All that kind of stuff. So I wanted to like provide that platform for people that I knew spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of passion dedicating themselves to this, and really like give them the platform that I can, while also like letting people know, like, hey, there are humans behind this art. There are humans doing these things that want to tell you how much they love, drawing a shirtless rat skateboarding to 2000s, rock music or whatnot, but there's like fun behind it, and so that's why I just wanted to be like, screw it, I'm gonna take that step forward, I'm gonna make it happen.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. That you went ahead and just executed on that idea. That's great. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for
doing what you do.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for taking the time for me to give you the opportunity to exercise what I'm doing. It all works out in the end. Also, I'm letting you know right now, that entire conversation we just had right there, if it's cool with you, I want to leave that in the conversation. It's like the thing leading up to the actual thing itself.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is your podcast. You structure it however it is you want to. So, like, I don't know. Like, I maybe think too much of the behind the scenes. I'll let you handle that. I know that, like, I'll watch podcasts, and so much of, like, they'll do the cold opens of, like, this is later in the episode. And then that's like the hook. You mentioned, I'm just going to piggyback off of what you said of like, you said something like people don't care, like they see like something and then they move on.
Yep.
I don't know if it's that they necessarily don't care. It's that there's just so much that is in front of them.
Yes.
Like, I think we're in this age of like, there's just like endless amounts of content. Like, you're not, as for example, I'm making cartoons. Like, it's tough making cartoons. It takes a long time to make cartoons. I'm not competing against other animators or other people in my field. I'm not competing against other, like, a Netflix show. I'm competing against like somebody like failing at a skateboarding trick, like on the other side of the world. I'm competing against like a dog falling down the stairs. I'm competing against like it's just all video in general. So it's just like it's shown to you at every.
You're competing against everyone that has access to social media.
Yes. So it's like, it's not that they don't care. It's that there's just not enough time.
Yes.
There's not enough time to make it. There's not enough time to watch it. There's just so much in front of us. So like, I as far as like, it's not that long form. It's short form video the thing is, I've kept having this conversation with people in like the last within the last several months, because people are like, "Wow, you're doing pretty great," and it's like, but I'm the one seeing the numbers, and I'm like, well, I know that this video is not doing as well as this one, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to pretend like I understand the algorithm. It's like, oh, this video did great. If I do another one that's similar, it also does great. If I do a third one that's similar, not at all.
Not as good.
And I'm not gonna pretend like I know what the algorithm is. It's hard to understand what people want, and then it's like there's this balance of like, do I make what I want and hopefully people will like the thing I made the way I liked making it, or do I also? It's this balance of, do I make what I want, or do I make what I think the algorithm wants, because that
Right.
changes on a day to day.
Exactly.
And it's like, what works on Instagram weirdly like now doesn't work on TikTok anymore, unless TikTok does a change and then you crack that nut in a certain way. But it's like it definitely doesn't work the same way on YouTube. Like it's a lot of like competing mindsets of like, I'm just sitting like, I just would really just like to make a cartoon and
Yeah.
maybe people see it. Like, but then I think my day to day has just become the overwhelming thoughts of thinking of the posting of it. Like, I like yesterday I posted something. I had that video done for like 2 weeks, just sitting in a Dropbox.
Right.
So like I'm like making stuff and like banking it. Like, okay, I just so I have something to post, because I also have to get used to posting more often, because I have to engage with the audience, and it's like, oh, there's comments that come in, and then I have to comment to boost the engagement. So it's like all this stuff around making the cartoon that I'm
Yep.
like, why do I have to do this? But so
because because the social media overlords tell us we have to do it.
I know, yeah. It's like I wish that wasn't the case. Like I get so jealous of like people in my life that are, oh yeah, I just did like I deleted Instagram. I did like a social media detox.
Oh my God,
like,
yes.
wow, that would be beautiful if that wasn't like kind of what I have to pay attention to. Like I would love to just like post and then bye. It's like, oh no, I have to like be there for the first hour and comment on people, and every day there's a new tip on how to like, oh, you got to make sure that you do this thing. I don't know. It's like it can get overwhelming, and I would love to just not have to worry about any of that and just make the cartoon.
No, trust me, I get, again, I feel that to my core, especially someone that, again, is also in a content field or whatnot, and like, I think I understand, especially where you're coming from. It's like part of you wants to keep up with trends and like keep up with stuff like here and there, because it's gonna get you like views and clicks and money more than anything else. But on the other hand, like you still want to make what you're passionate about, and you want to like take the time to make this stuff actually like look good, because animation is not, snap your finger, here it is, despite whatever the AI robots want to believe otherwise. Like there is time that you have to take to actually make this kind of stuff. And I can understand how overwhelming it could seem, especially trying to be like, okay, I gotta do this, well, I gotta do that, there's a new thing, I have to go with this.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it can be overwhelming. I have 30 things to think about, and then also that's tied with being an adult, where it's like all the dishes, the dog. There's so many things on a given day, and so like. I think that's normal, and that's just part of being a human, of like, okay, balancing all these things around it. So like I kind of lump all of what we're talking about, the social medias and the trends and the blah blah blahs, into like the things you have to do in the day, like the DMV, like I got to make this change, I got to ship out all these things, like all these little things. And the sweet spot, the nice little sweet spot is actually like making the thing. And I think like people like yourself and other people on Instagram and YouTube, just through their comments alone, have made it possible for me to continue doing this kind of stuff, because there is a lot of people that recognize that there is a lot of work being put into this. So that is like, I do want to say that it's like, yeah, there's the overwhelming stuff, and I don't want to come off as a downer or a complainer. This is just the reality of it.
Yeah.
But the other reality of it is that I'm very blessed to be able to even do this. I'm very blessed that there's people that see it and they recognize it, that they I have comments specifically saying, this looks like it was a lot of work, keep going. So I do really want to make that 100% stated that like what I'm doing is a blessing. Like I recognize that there are other jobs in this world. And also being clear, like right now, I'm not making any money off of this. Right now, like for context, I guess we've been kind of all over the place. I didn't introduce myself.
Well, I was gonna say, I hadn't even got to the actual start of the podcast.
Okay, how about this? How about right here's where we start the podcast?
I like that mentality. All right, Napoleon. Before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a deserted island on your own accords. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe. You can truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations. I shouldn't say deserted island, more like a personal B&B paradise away from society for a little bit. To make sure you don't go completely insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what will that one piece be?
Ooh, okay. You said one piece of media, so it could be like movie, TV show.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I think I'm going for quantity over quality.
Okay.
It's such a toss up between either The Simpsons or 30 Rock.
Okay.
Like
okay.
The Simpsons has way more episodes, so I'll have way more to chew on. But 30 Rock, I think like episode to episode has like some of the most rapid fire jokes, some of the most entertaining things that I've ever seen on a television show. Laugh out loud funny moments. It's tough. I think I'm ultimately going to have to go The Simpsons because I think The Simpsons just has like so much more. It's like it has so much more that like sits with me from like when I was a child that now even watching now it's like, oh, that went over my head. Oh, like this is masterful. This reminds me of me and my cousins. Like
right.
I think probably like I think maybe it'd be tough to say SpongeBob, but I think it's The Simpsons. I would take The Simpsons with me. It's not my favorite show, but I think it's pound for pound for maybe like 10 to 12 seasons, one of the most solid shows.
Oh, absolutely.
And so varied in quality, in it's not varied in like a bad way. Like they do so many different things in the show. Like sometimes they're musicals, sometimes it's like a detective story. It's all jokes, but there's like so many different like genre parodies. There's so many different like unique qualities that are just specific to it. I don't know. The Simpsons. To answer that question.
No, it's honestly it's a good answer, and there's a reason why it's been able to last as long as it have with all the different, like you said, the different variety of jokes and the different ways they've been able to tell comedy in one form or fashion. Though I will say, I don't think I've ever had anyone mention 30 Rock on this podcast, and I think at this point, at the time it was definitely beloved. But I think nowadays it's probably one of the more underrated comedies because people don't really talk about that as much as say like The Office or whatnot.
Yeah, I remember I saw 30 Rock first when like iTunes would do like free episodes. Like they were trying to get their video platform off the ground, so they would like give like a free episode of like a new show. So that's how I first saw 30 Rock. I was like, I have no idea what this is, but I know this woman from Saturday Night Live. And The Office, Parks and Rec. No, there was this beautiful comedy block of television that it was Community, Parks and Rec, The Office, and 30 Rock. And it's like the four best. It's honestly, to me, I would love to say it's just nostalgia, but it's probably the four best comedy shows like in a row back to back, like ever put on television. 30 Rock was always personally my favorite. It was like it was even compared to Community, the most cartoonish of the shows.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of those things, like things sit in people's minds differently. Like I remember telling people, go watch Community. This show's amazing. Nobody watched it. And then when it got put on Netflix in like 2020, so many of my friends were posting, yo, this show's good. It's like, I told everybody, I've been saying this. And like, but everyone loves The Office. Everyone likes Parks and Rec. And they're fantastic shows. But obviously, you're definitely right that like 30 Rock is like, if you know, you know.
Yep.
And it's also like, I will say, it is tougher to recommend a show where the premise of the show is about making a show. And I've always used that as like well, that's like a harder sell to people. Like, oh, let's watch a show about people making a show, because some of the jokes are so inside baseball. So like it is like a tougher thing. But I also like, I don't give it. But then at the same time, it's just like, okay, but I mean, Parks and Rec is about working in local government. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There's not a lot of people that work in local government, so it's like how, how it's like, why is one more accessible than the other?
It just, the way you described it or whatnot, it reminded me. I just saw it like, I think earlier today or whatnot. There was like, Jerry Seinfeld, when he was trying to sell his show or whatnot, he sold it to executives and said, "Oh yeah, it's a show about how comedians get their work, or how comedians get their bits or whatnot, get their stories that they tell or whatnot." And like, it's kind of hard to sell a person on that sometimes, but at least for the executives it worked, because then Seinfeld got his show and then became successful. So maybe, just selling it as merely, hey, it's a show about making a show. Maybe not that alone, but like, if you at least let a person know, like, oh yeah, it's insane. It's about making it's a variety comedy show similar to like Saturday Night Live. So if you like a Saturday Night Live or whatnot, like maybe having a fun look behind of like how weird it potentially was to make a show like that. Here you go.
Right. You're right. Saturday Night Live is a huge cultural touchstone. So like, I forget that's you can sell it as it's a show about making Saturday Night Live. Oh, okay. Yeah.
There you
that
go.
Makes sense.
But regardless, your initial answer of The Simpsons, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
Yes. Sorry. There's, again, more tangents, but The Simpsons.
Regardless, I think, given how much of a conversation we've had before I even do my own proper intro for it, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You look fantastic in the merch that we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. He is an animator, character designer, and a lovely ukulele player who uses all these skills and more to create the ever-charismatic CordaRoy the Rat. Welcome to the podcast, Napoleon Chavez!
Hey!
Woo, yeah! How you doing today, man?
Happy to be here.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. How you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Oh no, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here more than anything else. Like I kind of illustrated that with, again, all the stuff that I'm definitely gonna be leaving in or whatnot. I have been a huge fan of your stuff for a while. Just every single time you post a new animation, it just always brightens up my day, because I'm not lying when I say this, and I'll definitely go more into detail when we talk about CordaRoy, but CordaRoy is my spirit animal at this point. Like, just point blank, that is just a vibe and a mood that I just roll with, and I'm more than happy to show that love and support. That's why I've had this shirt for several episodes at this point. That's also just, it's a good looking shirt. Like, it's a good spin on the classic design. Like, you can't deny that. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about all that and then some. But before we talk about the stuff you're doing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Napoleon. What got you interested in art and animation and stuff in the first place?
What got me interested in art and animation, it's just kind of, I was always drawing my whole life. Mm-hmm. I think my mom was a single mom, and she had 2 kids, and she needed to look for ways to kind of just entertain me and my brother, and she always saw that I was always like watching cartoons, and that I would like grab a piece of paper and pencil and draw it. Mm-hmm. So my mom, I always say was like my first art director, because like we'd be sitting in church and I'm like a 4-year-old that doesn't want to sit still. Right. So she would just hand like a piece of paper and she's like, "Hey, draw me a cat." I'm like, "Whoa, okay." And I think like it really started being like a thing solidified in my head, because like every child of the 90s, I watched Blue's Clues.
Yes.
So in that show, he has a little notebook that he's like always jotting down ideas. He's finding clues. He's writing them down. So like at that point in my life, like I think I had like the green striped shirt. I had like stuffed animals of Blue. Like I had notebooks where I would draw in them. So it was just like a very like clear thing of, my mom would get me notebooks so I could just draw in them, because it's like, right. Oh, this is a thing that this is a thing he likes, and this is a thing that like is soothing for him. So like my mom was always fostering that from like a very early age. Like she would pay for like art classes, like we would do like pastel art classes like downtown, just because like I give a lot of credit to my mom because like she was always looking for stuff for me and my older brother to do, like because she was still going to school, she was working like a part-time job, we were living in my grandparents' house, and so like we were down the street from Disneyland, so my mom thought like, okay, if I just pay for an annual pass, we can go every Friday, they could get on rides, and I can do like my homework reading that I have to do. Like she was very efficient of like okay, we don't have to go to the park and bowling and all this other stuff. Like if we just go here, I can do my things while they're in line on a ride and then they're having fun. So like I was always around like cartoons like at Disneyland. I was always watching cartoons growing up. I was always drawing, like when we would drive to Mexico in the car, my mom would like buy blank books from like the convenience store in Tijuana that said like escribe, and it was just a blank book. And then I would just be drawing in these books. And I even remember my brother getting upset with me because he's like, why are you wasting pages? There's nothing on this page. And I had to explain to him, it's like, no, the character's just very far away because he gets closer in this one. Like I was using the books as like a storybook. It's like, well, they're here right now, and then they get to the cave in this page, and he was like, but you're wasting you're wasting paper, what are you doing? Like, so like I still look back and like I'm at least like proud of myself as a little kid that I was always like telling some form of a story. I was always interested in like characters and like them doing things. So I was always doing that from like a very, very early age. There was always some form of media on. There was always some form of like stimulating media. Like when I was growing up, I didn't like real people. I didn't like live action.
Fair.
Like,
that's understandable.
If there was a movie on, I was like boring. Like I wanted cartoons. It's funny because like I'm Mexican, my mom's Mexican, like she was born in Mexico and then she came to the United States at an early age and then she got her citizenship and she loves the United States. But I had a tough time speaking Spanish as a kid because she found it important that I know English because she didn't want me to struggle with like a language barrier.
Right.
So English is my first language. And I told my mom later on in life, it's like, you didn't just want me to know English. You wanted me to like be British. And she's like, what? Because all the media, my mom was doing her best. She made it. Right. She was very conscious of what she showed me. She's like, that's inappropriate. That's not allowed. Like growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch Pokemon. There was a lot of things. Like she was very conscious of the things that I took in because for her, she was like, media is like a very influential thing. Like that was a very specific thing that was a part of our lives growing up. Sorry if the camera keeps autofocusing.
Oh no,
I'm starting to get. I realize that I'm like going like this, and then the camera refocuses. And like I'm trying to keep my arms in one place, so that way the camera doesn't do its own shit.
Look, I'm just enthralled with story time right now. All right, the least of my concerns is what your camera is doing. But I trust me, for the audience at home that are watching the video version, we apologize if that's concerning y'all.
So, just so I don't lose my train of thought, media was very important. So like I always make the joke that like she wanted me to be British because growing up, the things that were on in the house was Mr. Bean, Wallace and Gromit, Thomas the Tank Engine, and Banjo-Kazooie. And I was like, Mom, you realize all of these things were made in the UK, right? Yep. She's like, how would I know? She's like, I'm just trying my best. It's like, so like there was always different kinds of stories being told in the house. Like, but all those are examples of like, one is like it's shot on film, but it's all clay people.
Yes.
One, it's shot on film, but it's like trains with like faces with eyeballs that move. The other one is it's shot in live action, but it's a man who's acting like a cartoon. I never liked real life. I always liked cartoons. Anytime Felix the Cat was on, it would play on like Telemundo. So me and my brother, we would watch Felix the Cat in Spanish.
Okay.
There was so like only cartoons. Oh, the Three Stooges. We watched that like every day when we get home from school. So like like things that were like cartoon adjacent, vaudevillian. Like I can't tell you how many times I asked my mom, please, can we rent The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie, The Mask, and that was at a certain point they're like, we could just buy you this movie. It's actually more expensive if we keep renting it for you. We're just gonna buy it for you. So like, but I think like there was always cartoons on. I always loved cartoons. I'm glossing over the most important one. All these are important, obviously, for like who I am as a person. Toy Story was like, I think the thing I watched just every day, multiple times a day. It was Toy Story was like the movie. I had like Buzz and Woody action figures. I remember when Toy Story 2 came out, we went to McDonald's all the time because they had 20 toys as a part of that. And my mom like, and this is also the thing, I give a lot of credit to my mom because like most parents should have just been like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not going to McDonald's again. My mom, I remember there was a day we went to 4 different McDonald's because she was running around doing different errands. But when she'd see a McDonald's, we'd go to it and she's like, what toy do you have? And it's like, oh, we have this one. Okay, give me all this one, that one, and that one. It's like, you don't want to buy the, I don't want the meal. Just get me the toy. Like, or like, I think like if they were like, oh, we have all the toys. It's like, give me all of them. I'm just, and it should be like, I'm not driving to the rest of them. Just if you have them all right now, I'm taking all of them. Like my mom, like all of this like cartoon nonsense. My mom has always been like very supportive of like, my mom has been very supportive of all this stuff. And also, I'm not even just saying like my mom, like my stepdad, my dad, my stepmom, like my stepdad works in fire protection. So he did so many different contracts for a lot of like Blizzard Entertainment, Disney Television Animation, DreamWorks, all these different studios. And he would go there and do jobs and be like, oh, this is a legit job. Like there are people that make money doing this. So he was very supportive of like, to my mom, like this thing he's doing, this is a viable career. If he wants to do it, we could be serious about it and he can actually get it done. Like, so like from like a practical level of like my mom being encouraging and my stepdad actually like seeing that it's actual work, like I had a very strong support system behind me of like, oh yeah, he draws and he plays video games, he watches cartoons, this silly little kid over here. And then like, I'll fast forward a ton to like high school where it's like, well, what do you want to do? I had like not thought twice about it. They're like, you draw, maybe graphic design, maybe architecture, because you need to make money. And I was like, okay. Like I was not thinking about any of this shit. Like I didn't care. I wanted to like go and ride bikes and run around with my friends in high school. Like we ran cross country. Like we were doing the dumbest stuff. We were like jumping around, climbing mountains. Like I'd rather do that. I'm not thinking about my future.
Right.
But I did have a friend of mine who like forced me to go to a job fair. Like I think my junior year of high school.
Okay.
And there was all these like colleges there. And then there was one college in Burbank that there was one college in Burbank that said they do animation. And I should have clocked this when I was younger, but it took me till I was like 15 or 16 to be like, oh wait, you could do that as a job? And they're like, yes. Like the guy there, it's like, yeah, we train people to do this. Yeah. Do you want more information on this? It's like, oh, okay. And it was at that point, it's like, oh, okay, I'll do that.
There you go.
And I even remember my stepmom saying like, well, you don't have a fallback. Like, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? And again, because like I hadn't thought about a job, I was like, I just want to run around with my friends and play. That I wasn't thinking about anything. When it came to the animation thing, it's like, well, what are you going to do if that doesn't work? And I was like, well, it's going to work because if I have a fallback, I'm just going to go to that when this one gets hard.
Yeah.
So I don't have another option. This is the one that has to work. And they're like, I don't think that's very smart. And I'm very proud of myself because that kind of mentality at least kept me going of like, well, no, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Things are going to get tough. And I'll be frank, like right now it's a tough season. Like there's not many animation jobs out there. There's so many people making stuff online and doing such a great job of doing it. But that just means there's more people trying to enter into this workforce. So like more people with shrinking opportunities. So like right now it's like I have the luxury that I'm making some stuff on Instagram and that I have like some savings that I'm able to like at least live off that while I do this. So I have that. So I'm giving myself the space to do like the foundational levels of like something that grows over time. But, you know, not everybody has that luxury. Like I know like people that are like people who work on Rick and Morty, and when they're not working, they're like working at the coffee shop or they're working at a restaurant. And I've thought like this last week, I've had like the serious thought of like, do I try to get a Trader Joe's job? Do I get something somewhere else? And I think the thing that scares me is like, I've always had entertainment jobs. Like I had one office job, and then from there I had an internship at a YouTube channel. And then from there I just kept doing entertainment jobs. So it's like I have nothing on my resume to say like, oh, I could do this. So it's like so it's a scary time. It's a scary time for animation and entertainment. There's people that will point to AI, be like, well, what if AI is going to take your job? It's like there's been greedy producers, and like again, it's a business. It's a business. So there's been business people forever trying to figure out like, okay, how do we pay them less? How do we get them to do more and pay them less? And AI is just a different version of that. Like it's like so like who knows where that lands out, you know? Like Walt Disney gets all the credit, but he was a businessman.
Yep.
Like he got to there because like he was like underpaying people. So anyways, whatever. Who am I as an artist? Let me backtrack. I've had a very supportive group of my family behind me that has allowed me to even think of this as an option in my head as far as like me doing any of this. So I really want to make that incredibly clear that is like a big driving force, that like I have people in my life that have believed in me. And so yeah, I think that answers your question.
No,
right? What was your question?
I would say no. That definitely more than answers the question. Whenever I ask, like, what got you into art and animation in the first place? Like genuinely, like it really did. Like, because first off, there were so many levels of that story that I totally related with you on. Like, first off, you mentioned Blue's Clues, and like, especially whenever you went down the path of like, I had the shirts, I had the notebooks, I had like that. If I could get my dad in here right now, he could tell you that he spent so much money on all that stuff for me. I had so many Steve shirts. I had so many of the blues. Like, I had so many handy dandy notebooks. I had the thinking chair. All right. Like,
me too.
Exactly. And like it also like hit my childhood even more because I'm sure as someone that is online as well, you saw that Steve Burns, he's actually making a podcast now. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah.
And I even went out of my way to make a video on Instagram and TikTok trying to see if I can even get in contact with him, because Steve alone is a dream guest I want to have on the podcast. Like just to sit down, chat with him, not just about his time on Blue's Clues, but like once he stepped away, focusing on his own music and like his own stuff and like coming back around to it and all that kind of stuff. Like he would be a very interesting guest. But like again, it hit part of my childhood, like hearing that, you know, you were talking about like Wallace and Gromit, Three Stooges. You know, I was a person that grew up on probably a little bit more animation than you. So like the Pokemon you did get a chance to watch, I definitely watched it or whatnot.
Yeah.
And also I just gotta say, your mom is probably the coolest, like one of the coolest moms I've ever heard about. Like the fact that that despite all the chaos, trying to support the family and support herself by going to school, still going out of her way to show that love and support for like your love and your passion, to where you're able to really explore that more to the point and just truly like be yourself growing up, to the point to where like when the rubber hit the road and you were just like, okay, I gotta figure out something to do when it comes to work. Whenever you heard animation, you were instantly like, oh, the stuff that I was doing all along that I was passionate about growing up, and so, oh yeah, let me do that. I'm doing that. Like,
yeah.
And like, I love that, like, the moment for you, it went from just like a general love and appreciation to a passion, or more or less a career, was a job fair, and like hearing from a college, like, hey, we have this thing or whatnot. Because that's also kind of me whenever I got into mass media. It wasn't a job fair, but the university that I went to, they came to my school, like, during, because my school would occasionally, like, just have like one of the universities, swing by, be like, hey, here's our university, here's like a little pamphlet, a little booklet or whatnot. And the university I went to, they had the little thing, and I looked into it. I just thought that the university had sounded cool. I was initially gonna go for like journalism and stuff, because I was always a sports,
Right.
I was always a sports person as well, like growing up. Like, I loved watching like football and all that kind of stuff. Um, but then whenever I actually went to the university and I saw their mass media building, specifically like the green room that they had, I'm like, oh, this is where I want to be. I want to be here, like working with this
Yeah.
kind of stuff and like dealing with these kind of people. So I can get why, where you're coming from. I can only imagine, like, once you actually fully dedicated yourself to this, and once you really put yourself into that field of animation, like going to school and stuff, it must have been like almost like self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, or like it must have been at least a little bit surreal once you actually got a chance to go to college and really study this stuff and work with the animation, be like, this is the thing I've always wanted to do. I can't believe I'm getting the chance to do this.
Yeah, I think like you don't recognize, at least for me, I didn't recognize it in the moment because there's,
Okay.
again, like you're just kind of you're going through life. It's like, all right, now I'm doing this and I'm doing this, and like stopping and taking a breath like that of like, wow, I'm really doing the dream. I think like I don't know if I ever had that moment, only because like when I got to college, it was a it was a Cal State, so it's like it's not quite like a big university, but it's like not a community college. It's like an in between of those two.
I would say, but the college I went to is very similar in that kind of sense. There's a place called Valdosta State University. It wasn't community college, but it wasn't like it wasn't like University of Georgia or like one of the big names.
Right. Yeah, and like, and I only bring that up because like I went there straight after high school, so I still had to do all the general education stuff. Like I'm assuming, yeah,
Yep.
like
Yep.
I had to do all the general education stuff. So like I had like also intro art classes before I could even qualify for the animation program. So like I was doing a bunch of high school again, and then just doing like, oh, today we're gonna learn the fundamentals of like 2D design, and we're gonna learn how to draw different pictures. Like I was doing intro art classes as electives, and then that would qualify me for animation 2 years down the road.
Right.
So like I was at school for like a year and a half, 2 years before I really started getting into like the animation of it. So like it's more of a slow burn. It wasn't like, that's the thing. I'd never like, when it comes to animation, I didn't have like the wow moment that everyone has. It's like, I can't believe that this is where Milt Kahl sat on a bench and grew a broom or whatever. Like I don't like, it's like, wow, that is one sleepy dwarf. Like I
Right.
didn't have like this like affinity for it. I knew I wanted to make cartoons, but I wasn't talking about like, it's like, do you realize the technology and Oliver and Company of how amazing it is for its time? Like I wasn't like a history buff in animation. I just knew that's what I wanted to make.
Right.
And then when I got to school, it was a lot of the general education stuff and just meeting people, and like, and it was still fun to have like a 2D class where we did like different art projects, where we did painting, where we did still lives, where we did life drawing. Like that was still like, I think that was like a really cool like, oh, I'm meeting like-minded people. I think that was like, that was the great part about it, of like, we want like, maybe one wants to be a graphic designer, one wants to be like a hip hop artist, one wants to be a painter, a bunch of people want to be animators, people want to be directors. Like I met a bunch of people that we were all in a similar boat, and I think that was like the cool part. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't like, wow, the dream, because again, like I said, I just wanted to kind of sit around and ride bikes and climb mountains with my friends. My dream wasn't like, wow, I want to be this version of what I think things should be. It was, I want to just kind of make cartoons. I want to do what I do with my friends, which is just kind of laugh, make them smile. Like I'm the one that makes cartoons, but there's so many people back home that I think they're funnier than half the people that I've met in LA.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, I'm a writer on this show. And it's like, well, you're never going to be as funny as Luis Ortega in Fontana. You're never going to be as funny as that guy. No one's ever going to come close to how funny this guy is.
I know that
so,
mentality so badly. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've told people, like, you know, that think they're so funny. I'm like, you should spend like 15 minutes in a room with my dad, because he will find some way to make you crack up like crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, I think there's like, to me, like, the dream was always kind of like what I loved about these things you could see in where you're at. And this is with hindsight, because like I wanted to leave my town when I was in high school. It's just like, I want to get out of here, and I want to go to college, and I want to make this thing, and that's where I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think it was valuable to go to college because I met all these wonderful people. Right. I didn't have the dream of like, wow, animation, isn't it crazy? Like, I didn't go to Cal Arts, which is like, I think more or less where that dream would probably be like, wow, that's where Brad Bird took a shit. You know, like, it's like, you know, like, it's right there.
You can still smell it from here.
They preserved the smell. He's genius. So like, to kind of round back to what I was talking about, like, it really didn't start settling in until maybe like year 3 or 4 of like, oh, I'm actually doing this. But also, for context, like, I think I was like that because I had already started animating in Adobe Flash in high school.
Oh, okay.
So like, when I got to college, it wasn't like, oh, I can't even take animation for 2 years, man, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like, yeah, I'll get to that when I get there, because I'm already doing that at home. Like, I was making cartoons for my TV news in high school.
Oh.
So like, and very, like, for like a guy, like, I wasn't just making like oh, look at this ball bounce, the flour sack flopped over, and like, I wasn't doing like, I was making like a cartoon with a beginning, middle, and end, and it had a theme song, and it had like a title card. Like, I was doing this shit in high school. And so when I got to college, it wasn't like, it's like, isn't it exciting to make cartoons? I'm like, yeah, I already did that. You know, I'm just kind of here to get better.
Right.
It's like, and that sounds like an arrogant thing. That sounds kind of arrogant, but it's
just more or less like your reality.
Yeah, like, it's like, I was gonna make cartoons whether people gave me the permission or not. Like, when I worked at the fire protection company, I had like a script of like what I was supposed to tell the vendors of like, hi, this is so and so from blah blah blah, and we're looking at our records, and it shows that you haven't paid us $350,000. Like, it's like, I was just trying to collect money.
I know.
It's just like, we did a job for you about a year ago, and we do not have your insurance information, and we need it for our records, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I was just calling up all of our vendors. That script had so many drawings on it. I'm always going to just be drawing something. I'm always going to be coming up with an idea. I'm always going to be doing silly voices. I'm always going to be doing all this stuff, no matter what job I'm in.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, when I got to college, it's like, it's exciting that I get to explore more of this, but I was always going to be doing that regardless. Like, I don't know. I feel like, and you know what? And as I'm talking about this, my mother and family have told me it might be normal to you, but it's not normal to everyone else. So like, a cousin of mine, he'll ask me questions about it, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's, it's a job, blah, blah, blah. Because it's so normal to me. It's always been normal. Like, this is just what I was always going to do. But he'll come up to me and be like, I don't know anybody that makes what you do.
Right.
I don't know anybody who's an animator. I don't know anybody who makes cartoons. So my mom has told me, it's like, hey, you have to be excited about these stuff, because people are excited to talk to you about this stuff. So that's like a thing I've tried to like kind of rein in as like a person that talks about it. And I'm recognizing that now as I'm talking here to you, that I'm like, well, I didn't have that dream of like, wow, I'm here. I think I just Nathan, I had to start moving the goalpost.
That's fair.
Because I was always thinking small, because I didn't want to think too big and like fall on my face. I think like I was humble to a fault. I was just like, not me. And by doing that, I was also not creating space for me either. So like, that's also like detrimental as well. And I remember talking to friends like out of college, it's like, oh, well, what is it that you'd want to do? And like, you hear so many, people in college, like they had like almost a boilerplate, like a, we're in animation and we're gonna do it and we love cartoons. Yeah. Like it was like this, almost like this persona that they'd all put on, and all of them wanted to be show creators. They all had their ideas that were like roughly like, oh, that's either Harry Potter or Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like they all sounded like other things. Like everything just kind of sounded and looked the same. Like everybody was making the same kind of fan art. And like I just never gelled with like the animation club people at my college.
I get
I
that.
gelled with like the 4 friends of mine that I had, that we were like making each other laugh, like in like our history notebooks. Like even in college, like I found people that were just like giggling about the dumbest shit and like causing a ruckus. And like still to this day, I still have a great time with those people. Like I made friends for life there.
Yes.
So like it's I think the idea of making a cartoon wasn't the biggest thing in my head. But all this to say that like I never fit the mold of like animation person. I never fit this mold. So like even getting to where I went to was unconventional, because like there was so many, like the conventional way that you get into the animation industry from college is like you have a professor write a letter of recommendation for you so that you could be an intern at Cartoon Network, Warner Brothers, or Nickelodeon. And there was and Disney TV, and there was for sure people that we went to school with that did do that right out of college, that went to Disney TV or DreamWorks or these other places. You know, that was like some of the people, not all the people.
Right.
For maybe like when I graduated, I played Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for like a month straight. Like people were like, "Do you have any job prospects?" I'm like, "No, I'm playing Donkey Kong." Like I just didn't. I just did. That's the thing. I graduated. I had a bachelor's, and it's like, "Are you looking for jobs?" I'm like, "Nah." Like it's almost like I want to go climb mountains and ride bikes with my friends. I was like, I just want to play Donkey Kong. It's like, you don't want a job, and it's like.
It's like I do, but not.
There's like this blissful ignorance that I have in my head that I think maybe keeps me at a certain level. I don't know. Right. I don't think it's healthy, but there's this part of me that just like, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's future Napoleon's problem. I'll worry about that later. There's no jobs that are going to come right now. I gotta do something else that brings me joy right now.
Right.
And it's this escapist mentality. And as I get older, it's like, well, maybe that's not the best thing, but. I actually, before this podcast, a friend texted me saying, make sure to find ways to have fun, because I was describing like all the things I have to do and like, you know, all this here and there. So like, I'm very proud of myself that as younger, I was unconsciously just finding things to do that were fun, that I wasn't preoccupying myself with a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And that opened the doors for very unconventional ways of getting into the industry, because a friend texted me saying, oh, well, actually, you know what? I make it sound like I didn't try. There was one summer in college where my stepdad was like, you're not working at the fire protection company this summer. You have to find an internship. That was also the other thing. I had very supportive people of like, you're not going to just coast over here. Right. Go do the thing that you're studying. Go find an internship, or else you're gonna, or else you're not staying here. Or it was something. It was like you need to go find an internship.
They were the ones that were trying to more or less light the fire under your ass to be like, hey, this thing that you're doing and you say that you love, prove that you love it.
Right, and there was, and time again, there was people in my life that put that fire under me, because, like I said, for me, it'd be easy for me to just kind of sit around and just like, I'll just do nothing. And that's, as I've gotten older, is what I've learned. Like that I have to be the one to give myself homework. I'm the one that has to give myself like the fire under me to go do that.
Yep.
And again, I've been very blessed, because like I messaged like a YouTube channel that I was watching a lot at that time. I know had interns there.
Okay.
So like I was like, I know Disney and Nickelodeon, none of these places are going to hire me because like I've applied and they're like, I'm like one of every like 500 people. It's like, when I was a little kid, I love Goofy. Like, it's like, yes, everybody is just like, oh, I grew up watching Ed and Eddie, and I would love to be a Cartoon Network. Like, it's the same. It's like there's shitloads of those.
Yeah,
you know,
like
I was just a drop in the bucket of everybody.
Yep.
But this YouTube channel that I used to watch all the time, I had done some fan art for them. And they had showcased it on their YouTube channel, and we had like kind of like we were friendly with each other. They were like, we like the stuff you do. And I met them in person at like a fan meet and greet. So I emailed one of them and I said, hey, do you guys still have interns? Or are you guys still looking for interns? It's like conveniently, we just fired one like 2 days ago. So let's get you in here. I'm like, okay. Like, it was like a certain window of time where then I went in for an interview. And then like the next week, it's like, all right, well, when can you start? And then that was my first entertainment job, was working at this YouTube channel called Funhaus.
Oh, are you okay? Time the fuck out. Wait, time out. Funhaus, really?
Yeah, it was Funhaus. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was when they just had come to. It was like Rooster Teeth had just opened an LA branch, and Funhaus was their like Rooster Teeth LA section of like, hey, when we come into town, we're gonna roll through here, but you guys keep doing what you're doing because they had just left Inside Gaming. So like they had been doing it for like a couple months, and Funhaus, I give them a lot of credit because they were like, they had like content where they would show off their fans like fan art. So I started making stuff for them, and then it started getting showcased, and that just kind of kept me in good contact with them. So like when I said like, hey, I'd love to, it's like, do you guys need interns? They were like, yes, you get over here right now. They're still to this day some of the nicest people I've ever had a chance to work with.
Oh yeah.
And I'm bummed I don't get to see them as often. I was lucky. I saw them like maybe 6 months ago at Jacob's wedding. So like that was nice to like catch up with a bunch of them. But like they're still like near and dear to my heart. Some of the most wonderful people I've ever had the pleasure of working with.
Right. No, as well as there was a time where me and my college buddies, like we used to watch Funhaus stuff like all the time. So it's like that was a nice little like nostalgic blast from 10 years ago for me more than anything else.
It's weird to think it's 10 years ago at this point.
Right.
That's strange. I still think of them like, yeah, they're from Inside Gaming, and they like, there's a new channel. It's like, no, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was at least 10 years ago. Cause the Inside Gaming stuff. Yeah, no, cause what was it? I remember if it was, I think it was Inside Gaming, but I know one of my buddies got me invested in them when they were doing the Duck Dynasty video game or whatnot, like their playthrough.
Which video game?
The Duck Dynasty video games or what, like when they had Duck Dynasty games or whatnot, they decided to do that, like that, and James like singing the song about his wife or what. I forget exactly what the exact context was, but I remember it was that, and then watching Funhaus. It was always fun to see that kind of stuff, and now here we are 10 years later, and my God, it has changed and it has evolved, but the fact that they're still doing their stuff is a good testament of like how much of a good environment they try to enforce, especially these days.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a ton of them that are still doing stuff. So like, if you haven't had a chance to like individually go and find like Bruce and Lawrence's like Inside Games,
yes,
or like James and Elise, they have like I think multiple podcasts. Like, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I do really like the James and Scorpio Sky. They're doing that wrestling podcast.
Oh, I didn't know
Eric Badur.
I didn't know about that.
It's called Creating Character. I think they have like 5 or 6 episodes of it.
Okay.
Go watch it. It's like, I'm not a wrestling fan, and it is a very entertaining podcast because it's 3 very charismatic people who have been in the entertainment industry for like over 15 to 20 years. So like as far as like a podcast goes, very entertaining podcast.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I remember when James and Lawrence were trying to be wrestlers themselves for like a match or one, and they were doing that chaos.
Yeah, that was awesome to see for sure. That character that he's doing, James, is actually in like, I still need to go to one of his matches, but it's like out in Chatsworth. It's maybe like west It's like west and it's in the valley. But like every week, like it's a thing he's doing where he's like doing like wrestling matches out here in California. So like I still need to go to one of his matches because I haven't gone and supported. But like that character that he did when he was doing, like he's, you know, putting pen to the pavement of like putting in the work to do that. So it's
Absolutely.
like he's doing like multiple podcasts. He's doing that. They're doing all these different things. So it's beautiful to see.
It's insane. And here you are sprouting partially from that tree from being an intern from there and getting, I imagine, not only opportunities working at Funhaus, because like you said, it was a very fun time, and the fact that you still get to catch up with a lot of them is a testament to how good of it, how great it must have been to work there. But like, I imagine that also sprouted potential other opportunities and such, especially when it came to like finally getting into the animation field. I wanted to at least emphasize this one real quickly because as I was doing my research, I found I'm like, oh hey, I recognize this. I remember this because I actually brought on someone else that I believe was a coworker for you. You had an opportunity to be a character designer for Royal Crackers. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll say
yes. Royal Crackers was such a fun show. Who did you bring on? Royal Crackers.
Zoe Panagias.
What? Zoe was on?
Yeah, Zoe was on here. Zoe was on here.
Zoe was on here, dude. I gotta go talk shit to her. What do you mean she was on here?
Zoe was on here right around the time I think Royal Crackers was just about to premiere. So yeah.
So season 1.
Yeah, so season 1. Yeah.
Okay, so that was like 3 years ago at this point.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Zoe, fantastic human being, fantastic animator. It hasn't come out yet, but there's like at some point, like she's helped me out with some CordaRoy stuff. Like there's like a shot that I can't wait for it to come out, but who knows when that episode comes out.
Right.
But
right.
Zoe is such a great animator, such a great human being. I love Zoe. I had no idea that you had Zoe on here.
Oh yeah, no, I agree as well. Zoe is a fantastic human being, and I was so glad to have the conversation with her because she was just so fun. I even remember knowing how much of a Star Trek nerd that she was. I decided to make my intro for that episode of the podcast like basically an homage to it. Like I kind of reword the title a little bit as like, you know, podcast The Final Frontier or something along the lines of that.
It's so funny that you say how big of a Star Trek fan she is because we were on Royal Crackers and they were also one floor down from us in the studio we were working at. They were making Star Trek Lower Decks.
Right.
So like, and she was such a fan and it was so well known to everybody. It was just this running joke. Everyone assumed that she worked on Lower Decks.
Right.
Everyone was like, they're just like, oh yeah, so how was this and that? And she's like, I didn't work on it. And like, she just had to keep telling people. And it's like, I still will tell her, it's just like, man, it's amazing the work you did on Lower Decks. It's like,
it's always
we had to work on this like dumb Succession show. I mean, dumb in the best way. It's like Succession, but dumb.
Yes.
We had to work on Royal Crackers while they were working on Lower Decks below us. So we're happy to have jobs.
Oh, of course, always. I mean, especially when it comes to just a ridiculously fun show like Royal Crackers or whatnot. Like that must have been like a fun experience, especially like I said, being the character designer, seeing some of the weird characters that have come and gone through there. Like even just getting the chance to play in that world for a little bit must have been just fun at the end of the day.
It was definitely fun. I was the character design assistant.
Okay.
So there was two character designers. I think at the time it was Jay Campbell and Lily Sparks for the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And they designed the characters like the front and the 3/4 and then the rear 3/4. And they would do some of the turns. My job was to then redraw all of that in the animation program. We were using Adobe Flash. I know it's Animate now, but it's Flash.
Right.
So I would redraw those so that way they were cleaned up in like a vector, in like the vector style with the warbly lines, and help out with like mouth charts and like how their eyes look like when they blink, how they look when they turn fully around, helping out with any additional stuff of like, hey, can you do the profile and the back? We don't have those views. We didn't have time to get to them. So it was character design in a technical sense where it's like, I'm creating this blueprint that we then send overseas.
Right.
So that way the animation department in Malaysia they can take it and run with it. And like they have everything that they need, because we want to just make sure that they're not having to make up anything on their own, that they just spend all their time animating. So as character, I've done character design assistant a lot of times where I'm in that world and I'm doing the technical aspect of it, and that was it's a very fun show, like, because you're watching these storyboards come in, and it's like, they're doing what is this shit? And it's like episode 3 is like this horror movie with like David Cronenberg-esque shit. It's like,
right.
This is a third what is this shit? And it was so much fun. There was so many different, like, because your assignments will be like giant chicken monster with like 3 arms, okay, and then the next assignment is like little baby chick, and both assignments have the same weight. It's like, I got 2 things done today. So like it's fun to just kind of like go from one thing to the next thing. Like it's there's a lot of variety on the show, so it was, never a dull moment. There was always like, there was definitely on season 2, there was a character that was fully nude, that just had his penis out, and it was a full turnaround of like, so it was like on my computer there's like 8 drawings of like a man, of just a nude man on my computer, and I had like so like it was one of those things that was like, just make sure that's not showing, like make sure that's closed, and if someone comes over, not only because it's NDA, but because it's a fully nude man,
right?
It's like, well, what are you up to today? It's, well, I could show you, but it's like, it was never a dull moment. It's like, what are
you doing today? Oh, I'm just working. I just gotta get the veins just right. Anyways,
I mean, yeah, it is what it. I mean, there was so many notes of like, yeah, it needs to be smaller in this angle. That's also the other thing. You get so desensitized to it because it's like, we have like so many assignments to do. We just got to move on. So the note is like, okay, this looks good from the profile. It's a little too long. They'll do it. The art director will do a draw over note. It'll be like, it needs to be a little bit more in, because on this angle it's this shape, and then it changes shape as it goes to the side. So we actually need to pull it in. It's like, okay, yeah, absolutely. Like, you just kind of get used to like, okay, yeah, the penis, it looks too clean. We need to make it a little bit more fucked up. I could draw it with my left hand if that's possible. The discoloration on it is probably not the right color. I know there's color design department, but I can come up with something to make it look a little bit more burnt up and fucked up. It's like, and it's just a normal conversation, and you just get desensitized to it. And even on the topic of cartoon penis, I remember talking to the assistant editor because my cubicle was like,
man, that transition was just flawless right there. Just speaking on the topic of cartoon penis.
I was talking to the assistant editor, and I think I was having this exact conversation with her, and she was telling me, Tiffany Lynch, she's a fantastic editor.
Right.
She was like, I have to blur out the penis on so many episodes. Is it possible from a design point of view? Can you pre-blur the penis? Like, can you blur it in the design so I'm not having to blur it in the edit? And before I could even say the word, my producer, who his office was like outside of our cubicle area, he pops his head out and he's like, absolutely not. No, the penis needs to be drawn. It needs to be blurred in the edit because on HBO Max it goes uncensored. So we need a penis drawn because it's going to be uncensored on HBO Max. So no, he has to draw the penis. And then like goes back into his office. And you go on HBO Max, I'm pretty sure they're blurred. So it's like, well, then why the fuck did I draw any of this shit? That was, and again, it's speaking, and it's like, I don't want it to be like, I know you're asking me about Royal Crackers, but that, again, on the topic of cartoon penis, that was also a thing at Funhaus when they would do like these Photoshops, because primarily I was doing Photoshops at Funhaus. And there was like all these like porn parodies that they would make.
Yes, because of all the porn games that they would play.
And it's like so much of it was like, oh, this character, but his cock's out. And so like eventually it's like so the trick was like, get like a butternut squash, get a JPEG of just something that's vaguely that shape and that color, and blur that. And because at some point I remember I was like, wait, why am I spending time to draw this penis if it's going to be blurred? So it's like, there's like these different tricks to the trade. You know, like that's the thing. There's so many jobs where it's just like a lot of the jobs I've done. It's not like, wow, I studied the work of Les Clark and saw how he made this shot from Fantasia. It's just like, yeah, we need like a fake Chinese bootleg game called Finger Bang. It's like a Chinese kid with like his fingers out like that. Make it look like it's unassuming, but it's gonna be called Finger Bang. It's like I've had so many assignments at Funhaus where it's like, okay, like what is this shit? So like weirdly enough, my Funhaus work helped a lot on Royal Crackers, where it's like, yeah, this is just my job. It is what it is, you know, like.
This is quite possibly the most I have laughed over a single topic on this podcast. That is what I get for you. You were so desensitized from it at this point because this is just the stuff you've had to work on for years. But like it in my head, it makes sense, but it's just still so funny to think that like you're, especially the producer part, the producer just sticking his head out, be like, no, we have to. It's uncensored. He has to draw the dick. Like there's no debate about it. He has to draw it. Like you have a very interesting life. The more I listen to you,
you just kind of get used to it. I don't know. Like my first entertainment job was Funhaus, so that was always weird. But it prepared me for the weirdness that follows. There's yeah, I give them a lot of credit because like you say of like what led to like, I love that you jumped to Royal Crackers.
Yep.
That was a fantastic show to work on. There was a show after Funhaus that I worked on that it was like, I don't know if you remember Kevin Pereira or Attack of the Show.
I do remember Attack of the Show, but I don't. Yeah, I remember Attack of the Show.
Yeah, so like the co-host that wasn't Olivia Munn, that guy, he went on like after that stuff had been canceled and made like his own version of it on Twitch and whatever.
Right.
And they had a contract to do like a Disney Channel show. So like on Disney, they would take Let's Plays like of Markiplier and Jacksepticeye and Pokimane and edit them for television. So like they would just play them throughout the day. Like kids would just watch people play video games, but we would like censor out all the swear words and cut them down and put a joke every 10 minutes.
Yep.
I went on to season 2 of that show because a friend who was on that couldn't work the second season, so he recommended me.
Okay.
And I got the interview because they were like, well, he's worked at Funhaus. And the Attack of the Show people, like James and Bruce, used to work at Attack of the Show.
Right.
So like those guys, they're like, oh, he worked at Funhaus. We'll just call it Bruce. So like I got the interview because they were like, oh yeah, Bruce said you're great. So like, when can you start? And that, again, and I also got the job because it was like, I got the job as assistant editor, but they were like, there's a lot of assets that we need to make. There's a lot of assets that we get from like a stock photo library for like certain jokes, but you can make assets from scratch because I was an artist. So like I was assistant editor, but I was doing the job of a motion graphics person. And I was like doing so much work on that show. I really cut my teeth on that show of like, we need a koala to like speak for 4 minutes out of the episode because this content creator's not talking. There's like, there was so much random shit that I had to do. Like I had an editor come up to me. He's like, Napo, for this shot, is it possible? I have this French tapestry that I'm going to show. Can you make this look like Fruit Ninja? I'm like, what? And it's like, I was like, Rob, I don't know what you're talking about, but give me an hour. I'll figure something out.
Yep.
Like, that was always my job of like, can we make a Leonardo da Vinci drawing of Spyro the Dragon? It's like, no, but sure. But that's my job. I will do that. Give me like 50 minutes. I'll send something to you.
Right.
So much of that job was just like these things that don't exist. We need an anteater that's going to like eat up parts of the thing. I don't know. There was so many things that I did there. I did a ton of character design. There was like a little mascot for the show that would like pop up and like say facts about the show.
Right.
I was there for like about like 9 months. That was like a really great place to kind of cut my teeth. And it was the Disney Channel credit on the resume. So like, it was one of those things like, okay, well, I didn't work for a Disney Channel show like Phineas and Ferb, but I did work for this Disney Channel show that like nobody's watched unless you're like 7.
I was gonna say it's funny because the only reason why I know of that show is because my final semester that I was at college, I was living with a buddy who was living with her mom and her little brother who was like again 6 or 7 or whatnot, and he would have his little iPad or a little like toy iPad, and he would pull up like the Disney streaming app. That it wasn't Disney Plus, it was like the Disney Kids like watch app or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that was one of the shows that he was constantly watching, like the little streamers, with their little gaming stuff. And yeah. So I when you mentioned him, like, oh wait, I remember this show.
Yes. Yeah. It was a very specific demographic.
Yep.
It was funny. Anytime I would tell somebody who was in that age range, it's like, oh, I work on Player Select. And they're like, dude, do you play Fortnite? Do you have V-Bucks? And it's like, no. I do play Fortnite now. I remember in 2020 when it was the pandemic, I bit the bullet like at some point, and I haven't stopped playing Fortnite. But like at that time, I was like, for babies. I'm not playing that. I do play it now.
Yep. Look, so sometimes you got stuck in your pride,
Oh yeah, I think it was like they put the Mandalorian, they put Master Chief,
that
and they put
makes
Kratos
sense.
like
Yep.
all in the same week, and I was like, oh okay. I was like, I'll play this for a little bit because I was like, there's like no Halo games that have come out for a while. Halo Infinite came out, I didn't play that. I was just like, I will play this. I never got around to it.
Yep.
There's not enough time in the day. But yeah, I did that, and then it's like these things just kind of I've said that like I'm just kind of like blissfully ignorant that I'm not like out there like hustling like, oh yeah, I gotta like I know people that have a lot of jobs because they're like meeting people and here's my business card and here's this and they're networking, blah blah blah. And I don't do that. I'm just like, I remember I went to a networking event and I got there early with some friends. We were having a couple drinks, and then the networking event started, and I was like, do y'all just kind of just sit here and just hang out? Like I don't really want to go. And at some point, it's just like, we did come here for that. Let's go and talk and hang out.
Right.
And like talk to the people here at this networking event. And I was like, I just kind of want to hang out with my friends. I don't care. Like, I've just always had this blissful ignorance, and that's not good. But I think it's helped me because then it's just kind of led to the next thing of just like, I'm just working this job, doing my thing. And one of the editors from Player Select, they went on to help develop this show for a new streaming service at the time. This was like 2019. They were developing a new streaming service called Quibi.
Yep.
And there was an animated show that they wanted to put on there about horoscopes. And the editor did some work on it, and he was like, I have a different job this week. Can you come and fill in? So I trained some people there to like use Character Animator. And I like helped develop the style for the show. And then I got brought back a couple weeks later to work with the designers on like getting like a couple pilots, like small, like little like pitch pieces in October. And we did that for a while. And we did like some odd jobs there at that company for a little bit. And then and then I went back to Funhaus for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were going to like make a position for me at Funhaus. Like this was like right before the pandemic. And then the Quibi job called. And then Omar was like, that sounds like a better job and better for you. Please go do that one. It's like, we would love to have you here, but actually like, that's an actual animation job. Go do that.
Yep.
So like, and again, like Funhaus, still some of the most graceful people there. Like I always remember back, like Omar was like, we can make a position here for you. Like, we like the work you've done, but is that something you want to do? Like, again, like I'm like, blowing in the wind, like, oh, what, a job's a job, wherever things take me, I gotta work. But Omar was like, well, what is it that you want to do? I don't want to force you to be here. No one's forcing you to be here.
Exactly.
Is this what you want to do? Would you be happy? Would you do this and then go home and be happy every day doing this? So like, it's like, okay, that's a very good way to look at things from that point on. Like, am I going to be happy when I come home? Am I going to be satisfied with the work I did? So I did the Quibi job, pandemic hit.
Yep.
And we just worked from home for like 9 or 10 months. And the Quibi job was fun. Had its own set of weirdness. It was a very different workflow. Like we made 12 episodes of content a day. and but split between two teams of like 24 different people. It was a lot of content.
Yeah.
And it's just like it all went onto this app. And because it was so specifically tied to horoscopes of what the horoscope was for that day, it's all null and void after that day. So like they can't repost that content anywhere.
No,
like,
no, they can't.
We just made all this vaporware stuff and we're just working. And then one day a Variety article comes out and says, oh, Quibi has no more money. And it's like, does that mean we're fired? like we found out from the Variety article. We're like, did you know that? Like nobody knew. But I mean, also from hindsight, like I remember from the beginning, like this could fall apart at any point. Like right. I don't know anyone that is gonna want to watch this. Like who cares?
It's such a specific idea more than anything else. And like Quibi in general, like the way that kind of rolled out or whatnot. The only reason why I laughed whenever you mentioned Quibi or whatnot is because April Fool's Day of 2022, I made the joke on this podcast. It's like, well, the podcast is no longer going to be on YouTube. We are officially going to Quibi. like, just...
Yes. I will always love a good Quibi joke because I remember Quibi was over. I did a couple odd jobs in between, and then I got the Royal Crackers job.
Yep.
Like I think like a year after that. And I got it because the art director on Quibi, Jake Reeves, shout out to Jake Reeves, he's a good pal. He was the art director on Royal Crackers, and he just randomly put out on Instagram, does anyone know Flash? We need some more Flash people. And I messaged him like a couple weeks later once my job had already ended. I was just like, hey, my contract here is ending. Do you guys still need people with Flash experience? Within like a day or two, I had an interview, and then after that interview, I had what's the word? A job offer.
There you go.
Like, what is that thing that
I was gonna say contract, but yeah.
But yeah. So like it happened like so quickly, and I was on Royal Crackers, and it was great to be there with like good company. Like Alex Calamaris did backgrounds on Your Daily Horoscope, the Quibi show.
Yep.
He was backgrounds on Royal Crackers. Jake Reeves was the art director there, and then moved over to Royal Crackers. There was a good amount of like trying to like take people to the next thing there was a lot of that as much as possible. Because even like Zoe worked with Jake at Augenblick on like the show he had done before.
Right.
So it was always like people kind of move along with where the next project goes. And I was right at home at Royal Crackers because like I think in the first episode, one of the characters makes a joke. Makes a joke about how like Quibi was like a bad idea and it was a bad investment, and then the joke goes on for way too long.
Yep.
And it's about how awful Quibi is, and I was like, this is fantastic, I love it. And there's even like jokes in Royal Crackers about like, ooh, this is like some prestige television, something that'd be on HBO Max. Yeah. And then they changed the name as the episode was coming out. It's like, fuck! It's like, but it was called Max and not HBO Max. And it's like, God, and now they changed the name back to HBO Max. So we're like, yay, the Royal Crackers joke makes sense again. It's like...
Honestly, I felt like it'd be far more ironic if it had stayed at Max, because it's like it's prestige television such as HBO Max when it's called Max, and I feel like that'd be just like it'd be almost like the Quibi joke or whatnot, just like, you know, talking like just a little bit too long talking about like Quibi or whatnot, and just be like I mean, kind of tongue in cheek of like, man, this did not age well at all.
I mean, there's like some of those the jokes that don't age well are also great because it's like that section of time, like Community's great about that, of like they love this show on NBC that only had 3 episodes and then was canceled. You know, like they love the Cape. They love the Cape. And and I remember them promoting the Cape. I remember when that was a big deal, you know? I remember all the NBC shows that they kept canceling.
Yeah.
It's like, so that even though stuff is aged, it is like, if you know, you know, and it's like, oh, that's great. You know, like The Simpsons has a lot of that, of like the crossover they did with The Critic or the crossover they did with X-Files. Like yes. I was not watching either of those shows, but I have context for what that is. And they put it in a context that I understand. So like, there's still like a part of the cultural conversation that I'm still a part of in some way because it was included. And even I love the show Cheers. So like when Zoe would talk about Star Trek, she would mention all these people. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's Frasier, that's Norm, that's this person. Like a lot of the Cheers people, like Christy Alley, like a lot of the Cheers people crossed over into Star Trek. I'm not a Star Trek guy, but it's like, hey, yo, if they got Norm in there, dude, that's sick. That must be cool.
It's like you can't.
That must be cool if they got Norm.
It's like you can't like Norm is like if you can get Norm in anything, you know it's gonna be a good time in one form or fashion.
Yeah,
you know?
like the Little Rascals movie.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
He's in there.
Yeah, no, trust me. I remember. I watched the Little Rascals. I remember. I will say one of my favorite jokes is like, "Hey, my aunt's here, Whoopi," and it's just actually Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, like looking back now as like an adult, it's like, oh yeah, there's so many different like celebrity cameos because it's so ridiculous. I do think that movie has like one of my favorite jokes in it, where both Alfalfa and Frankie go to each other's houses to like go apologize to the other one, and it's like, I'm sorry, Alfalfa, Frankie's not, like both their dads answer the door, and it's like, I'm sorry, Frankie, Alfalfa's not here, and they're both just the kid. They're wearing the exact same clothes as the kid, but they're just adults.
Right.
It's just like it's the dumbest shit. But I love it. It's just like, I'm the dad, and it's just a big version of the kid.
Yeah, basically. Oh my goodness. It's that cartoon logic in a way, because how many times have we seen like a cartoon and it's just like, you know, the kid is just basically like, or the kid is just basically the kid version of the adult or whatnot. Like my first thought is like Jimmy Neutron. Like you can't tell me Carl's dad is just basically Carl. Like that's literally like the joke more or less.
Yeah. There's another joke like that. I remember in Royal Crackers there was like something like, how do we? It's just like, do we have to design the character differently? Because they have like one standard outfit. It's like, what is the pajamas for this person? Like, it was like nighttime. They had woke up. Right. It's like, how do we show that it's the nighttime? And I was like, what, that long pointy hat, like a Scrooge hat with like a gown. And we just started busting up laughing because it's like, why is that the go-to? Like, nobody wears that, but why in our head is that they're asleep? This big long pointy hat with like a candle at the end of it, like that. It's funny like how influential cartoons are, because that was like something that was representative of somebody sleeping in like the 40s. Yep. And even then it was probably enough of a parody, but it was just a visual thing that was in Mickey Mouse and Looney Tunes. And kept going. And it's just like, it's just kind of like burned in your brain. It's like, nobody wears that, but you see that, you understand this person was just sleeping. Yep. It's like, and so it's funny. It's funny how influential cartoons are without us even recognizing that. And I think maybe some of that is changing, because that's like what I knew growing up, you know, in the 90s. And I say 90s, I really mean like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
Like my memories start at like 98 onward, kind of, you know, like 97, 98 onward. So it's like 97 to like 2002 is like when I'm saying the 90s. Like I was watching Doug, but I wasn't watching Doug in like 92. Right. So
you were watching Doug when it was on Disney, not when it was on Nickelodeon, or the other way around.
No, I watched it on Nickelodeon. Okay. I was not watching it on Disney.
Okay.
We didn't have the Disney Toon channel. I couldn't watch Darkwing Duck. We just didn't have that channel. We only had Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. We didn't even have Cartoon Network. I remember I'd go to a friend's house and they would have Cartoon Network. I would sit in front of their TV. It's like, do you want to play? And I'm like, no, I want to watch Ed, Edd and Eddy. I don't want to play. It's like Ed, Edd and Eddy's on. It's Johnny Bravo. I never get to watch this.
And I was gonna say that I love how you're talking about, obviously, like, you know, when it comes to all the influences and such. And I imagine, like, obviously, you know, that influence, like growing up, like seeing all these different kinds of stuff, as well as the influence that you've had in the industry, especially up to this point or whatnot. I wonder how that more or less became like the formula or the recipe for the stuff that you're creating nowadays, especially the big one, the big thing that a lot of people should know you for at this point, and that is CordaRoy the Rat. Now, I'm curious.
Very happy you finally got there, because I realize we haven't brought that shit up once.
Right? It's like,
who the fuck is this guy he's talking to?
it's like we've had a full on conversation about all these other aspects, which I imagine there's some people that probably think like, oh my god, yeah, it's cool that you got to work on this or you got to work on Royal Crackers. But also, there's a lot of people that would know you more as the person that creates the shirtless rat that just goes, yeah, like
Nathan. You have it's your podcast. You have carte blanche. Cut out whatever you think is unnecessary.
No, you think it? Sorry,
there's
time
so
out.
much rambling. It's probably good. It's probably like what is it? Like an hour at this point, and we're barely now bringing up the fucking rat. Yes,
okay.
It's like
time out. You think I'm gonna
all this stuff? Oh yeah, Zoe. Everybody loves Zoe. It's like there's other people. They don't know who the fuck Zoe is. Sorry, Zoe, I love you, but like they're like.
Okay, first off, why are you giving me more work to do? I'm leaving all of that stuff in. I want to leave it in because I love it. But let's get to the rat. Let's actually talk about the rat at this point, CordaRoy. Now I'm curious because I can certainly tell as I look through your art, you certainly have phases when it comes to certain things or whatnot. So how did you get on a rat phase, and what ultimately led to the creation of CordaRoy?
In 2020, funnily enough, it was going to funnel into this anyways.
Okay.
When Quibi ended, I was out of work, not really doing anything. And I remember my family, they were planning like a trip to Florida. They were going to go to Disney World.
Okay.
So like, and I remember them, they were like, do you want to come with us? Because like they were going to drive out there. And I was like, because like everything in California was closed and Disney World in Florida was open.
Okay.
So like it was kind of sketchy of like, oh, I don't know if that's safe, blah blah blah, you know. But like for context, I was working on the Quibi show for 9 months just in this tiny room that I was like renting in my friend's house. Like I was like, it sucked, but I was like, I got to get the fuck out of this room because also I wasn't seeing family because like I didn't want to affect my grandmother, like, because my mom was going and seeing my grandmother. I was like, I don't, and I lived with two people that worked in the medical industry.
Yes.
Like, so one of them was testing for COVID, and the other one was like a couple times exposed to somebody who had COVID, and she had to be locked away in a room. So like, I was in a scenario where it's like, I don't want to go see my family, like potential risk.
Right. Obviously.
And then when they said like, hey, we're gonna go to Florida, it's like. And it's like, okay, well, that's a risk waiting to happen. But I had already been in such a powder keg. I was like, honestly, if I go out there and I get it, at least I'm outside and I get it. And I'm not just sitting here in my, in this house. So like, but I was still working the job. I was like, maybe I can ask for like a day and I go for like the weekend or something. Like, I don't know. And then Quibi shut down. I was like, well, I don't have to ask for time off. I'll just go. So like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, it was the first time I was going to just go and fucking do anything. Right. So I was like, yay, Disney World. I was excited. And I was just drawing rats on my iPad. And I don't like drawing on my iPad. I really don't like the feeling of drawing on my iPad, but I was just like, I had to do something. Like, my iPad meant I could draw not at my computer. So, like, yeah. I was just kind of in a rat mood. I was drawing like different rats with different clothes, different personalities, and they kept getting more elaborate. Like there was like a rat that was like a knight, a rat that was like a samurai, a rat that was like a pop singer who had a pizza dress. There was like a rat that was like in Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever. Like I was just the rats kept getting more and more elaborate. I had all these rats.
Right.
And then like, but there was like in my head, there's always like nuggets of stuff, like nuggets of an idea, like kind of like in a sense, like 30 Rock, where there'd be like a cutaway gag, there'd be like a joke, like a bit. Mm-hmm. There was always like different bits that didn't really connect to anything. So I'll roll it back. There was always a bit I had in my head of a little rat going, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. Like it was always that because like, and that was one of the rats I drew. When I was drawing all the rats, that was like one of the last ones I drew, and I did a little like, oh, did you finish the TPS reports? Yeah. It was I made that, and at some point I just decided I wanted to make that a cartoon because that one, like out of all the rats I had drawn, that was a really fun one.
Right.
I'll turn it back a bit. That little rat that said like yeah, no, yeah, like that was from. in one of the jobs I was doing out of college was like this esports thing.
Okay.
Where we were it was like a Call of Duty event or no, it was Player Unknown's Battleground. It was PUBG.
Right.
And like I was one of the camera operators where it's like I'm like spectating the game and like, all right, just make sure you stay on him, make sure you get this footage. And it was like we were working maybe like 10 to 13 hour days. So like we were all exhausted. And one of my best friends, he was the one that got me and my other buddy the job. And so he was like the lead. He was the lead on it. Mm-hmm. And so we were all tired. And at some point he goes, at some point I asked him a question. I'm like, so Alex, so when we cut back from the host, we're going to go to camera C. And he's like, yeah, like his voice cracked. And his voice cracked, and without skipping a beat, I immediately started making fun of him. I'm like, yeah, no, yeah. And then the rest of the night, we were just like, hey, can you get me that? Yeah, no, yeah. It's like we're just making fun of each other. And that was in my head, and I'll take it back an even further thing. That was in my head because I don't know if you watch, if you're familiar at all with Mega 64.
Yep.
Okay, so one of the guys, Garrett, the one with the dreadlocks, mm-hmm. he every Wednesday does a stream called the Poorly Played stream, and he treats it like a radio show. He calls himself a DJ disc jockey. He has a soundboard with like Brandon DiCamillo, prank call clips, stuff from the Howard Stern show. All this like just nasty sounding sound effects on his soundboard.
Right.
And one of them that he plays all the time is one that goes, yeah. And he got that from the Howard Stern show. They would have this comedian called Jackie the Joke Man.
Yep.
And Jackie the Joke Man had a soundboard on the iTunes store of like different things he said. So there's like a yeah, like just different sounds that he has made from the Howard Stern show that then Garrett ripped and put on his soundboard. And he's always doing one of the sounds he does all the time is yeah. So that was in my head. So then when my friend was like, yeah, because his voice cracked, I just immediately like that shot out of my mouth and started making fun of him. And then that was like a thing we would always say to each other. And then there was like a bit that I was doing of like these two little mobsters that are rats, that they get a pizza for the boss, and then a dog comes and wipes his ass on the pizza and then runs away. It's like, oh my gosh, that was the boss's favorite pizza. He's gonna kill us. Yeah. No, that's bad. Oh, yeah. Like, so like that was a bit I had done that was kind of in the back of my head that I had never made. And then when I drew all these rats before going to Disneyland or Disney World, one of them I gave that voice to. It was the smallest one, the most little one. And then at some point when there was a lull between jobs, I had decided to make the short of him like at an office, of him like clicking, clacking at a keyboard, because it was off of like the one little bit of like, hey, did you get those reports done? Yeah. And I did that short, and that took me like 3 weeks to make.
Oh, wow.
That took me a while because I was like, oh, I'll get this done and I'll have it out on Friday, because I felt like it was important to have that one out on a Friday because it's specifically like, hey, I want you to work the weekend. So it's like, oh, it makes sense that it would be on a Friday because that's when it would take place.
Yeah.
And I remember friends, they're like, how come you didn't put out you said you were working on something. Why didn't you put it out? I was like, it's not ready yet. It has to come out on a Friday. They're like, why? That doesn't mean anything. Just put it out. And then when it did come out 2 weeks later, they were like, that was really great. I understand what you meant. Like, it's like, it was at least like, I might be doing something silly, something that is for myself. It's this dumb little thing. But there's at least like some nugget of like, oh, well, there's a rule here. Like, this has to come out on Friday because of what it is. So like, that's I know I did like a out of chronological order to all of that. Did any of that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. I just love how many layers there were that went to this character that, again, if people just look at it on surface level, is just a shirtless rat that dances around, sometimes just goes, yeah! And like the fact that has so many different layers of comedy to it on top of what's already a fun concept, that just makes me love the character so much more. Like it makes me realize I figured it wasn't just like some random like, oh yeah, I just put this random thing out there and people just happen to like it. No, like there was at least something.
Which is also valid too.
Yeah.
Things can also just be random too.
They could, but also like to know that there's actually like a layer of like inside jokes and like just a lot of fun that just went into like this concept that you've been toying around with, and like you actually put thought on like when to actually put it out there in the world, because it has to be a Friday, because obviously what's the short about? Hey, can you work for the weekend? Yeah. Or, yeah, that kind of stuff. Like, it's great.
Say like, thank you. And even after putting that one out, I just made one. It was the only in the intention of making one. Like, oh, this would be like a fun little one-off thing. Because there's also like being somebody who likes cartoons a lot. Like, for example, like the main cartoons also had like side cartoons.
Yes.
Kind of like Rocky and Bullwinkle had Underdog,
Mm-hmm.
But that was also like its own separate show as well. But I think actually a better example is Looney Tunes. Yeah. Like there's Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, but there's like the Dover Boys are like a one-off in like the Merry Melodies category of stuff. The one that me and my brother love so much to this day, there's like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, but the one that's like a one-off is like the vulture. It's so simple. The vulture's just pushing her babies out of the nest so they could go fly. And there's one vulture that just doesn't want to fly. He just wants to stay with his mom. And then it's like, go fly. And she tries to push him and he keeps curling back. He's like, no, mama, no, mama, I don't want to go. No, mama. And it's like, and that's all it is. It's just but it's not like, it's not sad. It's like, why does he sound like that? He's a baby.
Exactly. Why is he
no.
Why does he sound like he's 35 going through a divorce and like spent at least a week?
But he has like a smile on his face too. It's not sad. It's it's just weird.
It's a silly voice. It's the goofiest voice you could potentially put on a baby in this case.
And it's like, and me and my brother would always quote that back and forth to each other, because it was like, they played it on Cartoon Network at like 12:45 at night.
Yep.
So like we were like, what is that? Like it's rare we ever see anybody that knows what we're talking about. We're like, oh yeah, that Looney Tunes cartoon of the vulture, and they're like, what? So like, again, you talk about influences. Like as far as for CordaRoy the Rat, I liked there just being something that it's like a one-off thing that just like it could just be this. Yeah. Like, I went to college with a bunch of people that they're like, I got an idea for a series of a wolf walking through the desert for 5 seasons. I'm going to need $30 million. Like, it's like these ideas are so big and they're so broad. It's like, what about a universe where like you could do anything? It's like, what? Like, I remember in college, like in Icebreakers, there's like, oh, I'm so-and-so and I want to be this. It was like somebody that described themselves as like, oh, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a world builder. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, you're like 19. What the fuck are you talking about? You're a world builder. Like, it's and I told that to friends, and again, I wish I was as funny as some of my friends, because one of my friends said, like, dude, if I was in that class, I would have been like, yeah, I'm Ralph, I'm 25, and I'm a destroyer of worlds. I crush them. Like, it's like, because yeah, what the fuck does world building mean?
Exactly.
It's like yes, you're a writer. You come up with ideas. Like, it's like there's so much in college. You're a kid and you don't know. There's a lot of being pretentious. There's a lot of pretension that comes with that, of just like,
right,
we're here to make film. We're here to make art. And in college, I rejected so much of that. I remember we had done projects where the goal was like, I remember there was like these 24-hour animation jams where you'd get a group of students together and you make something for 24 hours. Like, you start, and then from like 4 p.m. or like from like 1 p.m. on that Friday, you go to 1 p.m. on the next Saturday and you make a full thing.
Yep.
And it's like they gave us a prompt. And it's like, make a cartoon about physical or metaphorical walls. And it's like, as an animation person, you want to go for like the Pixar tug at your heartstrings. Of like, look at the walls we put up around each other that make us emotionally distant. And isn't that sad how we put up our own walls? And it's like, we were like, we were at a Red Robin, and I was like drinking sangria. I was like, I don't know, what if it's like, what if walls came to life? Can we just do that? And we just kept making like we were just started making fun of animated movies of like Will Ferrell is a wall. It's like dumb shit. It's like we just started making up dumb shit, and it was like, hey, we're gonna be and like I felt bad because one of my buddies was like, oh, maybe we could do like something with a mime where he's like in like the invisible wall, he's in a box and he can't connect with people, and we kept laughing at the dumb idea of like, oh yeah, and Ronald Reagan comes in, he's like, this wall is coming down, and Ronald Reagan's the bad guy. Like it was like this dumb, it was dumb shit,
right?
And my buddy like conceded. He was like, we haven't, you guys keep bringing this idea up. If we're going to work for 24 hours, let's just do this one. Like, you guys haven't stopped laughing at this. Let's do this one. And that's like, still to this day, a mentality in my head of like, I have to make sure that I'm laughing. Do I like the idea? Mm-hmm. It's like, if I'm laughing, if I'm enjoying it, the person will enjoy it as well. It will find its people. And even after that project, to kind of cap that off, when we were the professor in the room that was like the chaperone for like the animation studio at the college, he was like, I've heard you guys say Will Ferrell this, Ronald Reagan that the whole night. I have an idea of what you guys are making, but for my own sanity, I need you to show me, because what on earth are you making?
Right.
And a lot of credit to Mike Dietz. Mike Dietz, one of the most legendary animators. He worked on Earthworm Jim, Sonic, Sonic Boom. He's done the stop motion SpongeBob specials that are on Nickelodeon.
Okay.
He's done 2D, 3D, and stop motion. He's worked in the industry professionally for like 30 years. He's the GOAT. He's fantastic. But also one of the most sweet, most wonderful human beings. Because he saw our short at the end, he's like, okay, if people could vote, if like the students could vote, that would win. That would get a People's Choice Award. That is hilarious. I guarantee you the judges, that's not going to win because that is not what they asked for. That is not what they want. Like, because again, it's like, oh, the walls we put up as people. It's like, nah, what if walls were fucking stupid? Like, it's like, we went the complete opposite direction. I say all that, this tangent to say that like some art is not always going to be for everybody, but as long as you're making something for yourself, and it can't always just be for yourself because it is like a visual medium. Like you are making it, hoping somebody sees it, hoping somebody likes it. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like it is like, you do hope somebody also likes it, or else why are you just making it for yourself? But I try to at least keep that mentality of like, do I still like this? Am I laughing at this thing? Like I remember, like at least in the first couple CordaRoy stuff, there was always like, I have to at least have one frame of this little rat that makes me really laugh. Not for anybody else. Just like I need something to just look really funny, even if it's for a frame. If it makes me laugh, then I did my job and I can continue making the cartoon. And I remember, like I think in the first one, I said to myself like, this little like cute little rat just working a job, just trying to live his best little life. I remember thinking to myself, oh, I would die for this little rat. Like he's just like this adorable little thing. And then when that went out later on, because I put it on my personal Instagram and like people in my life had saw it. And people in my life had seen it. And then TikTok was this thing that I was not really paying attention to. And at some point people say, yeah, try putting your stuff on TikTok. And it's like, okay, whatever. So like I put that cartoon on TikTok and it just like shot up. It blew up on TikTok in like 2021. So like I had put this out a long time ago in 2021. And so like that was like this is like, maybe this is a thing that I should continue making. And some of the comments were, oh, I would die for this rat. And it's like, that's crazy for other people to have the same thought. So it's just like, okay, make sure you're doing something for you, because then there's going to be people that feel the same way, because you can feel when something is genuine.
Absolutely.
So like that was also an important thing. Did at least when I'm making these things, I have to think about, is there joy? Is it genuine? do I like it? And I think that's what kind of matters the most, at least. Like, is this something I want to watch? Is this something that is going to entertain me? But now there's also like the algorithm talk of like, oh, in the first second, is there something that gets people, the hook? Like, is there like, do people watch at least for more than a second because people will click away? Like, I do got to say, like, I think the most popular one that I've done is the skate park one.
Yep.
And that one, the first second is him on a skateboard going, yeah, 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 yeah. Very visually stimulating for the first second. So, like, the rest of the cartoon is great. Yes. But that first second does a lot of heavy lifting because of the platform that I'm on. I'm getting away from answering the question, I think.
No. Honestly, I think you've really established it and then some a little bit more. Because I was honestly asking like, what was the inspiration, and then to see it more or less like all the different layers of inspiration, and then to see it more or less evolve from there. And like what started off as simply like a one-off that could have been just like a funny little thing you put out there. You and your buddies laugh about it. You put it on a different platform, and to see it blow up and like and people having the same mentality, same love as you. Like, was that more or less the inspiration for you to actually keep going, doing more with CordaRoy? Just seeing kind of more or less the reception, how people were just immediately like, yeah, no, I like you said, I would die for this rat more than anything else.
I think the inspiration just came from just knowing that people were seeing it. Mm-hmm. Like their positive words were fantastic, but like as an artist, you really struggle like when you put stuff out there.
Yes.
It's your fight because like also as far as getting jobs in the industry, because a lot of people, that's what they want. One of my friends, fantastic digital painter, I think right now he's on Marvel Spider-Man. It's funny because like we met because he was a Funhaus fan. He saw me wearing a Funhaus t-shirt. He's like, yo, Funhaus, that's cool. Like he's gone on to like work at Netflix and Marvel and all these places. And there's been times I've been like in the background of like a Funhaus like live stream, and he'll send me a picture. He's like, dude, I'm so proud of you. It's like, because I'm on Funhaus, you're at Marvel. What are you talking about? Shout out to Victor. Victor's fantastic, but I brought him up because he's really good at what he does, and he got his job because he was just posting stuff on Instagram, and like the visual development people at Netflix found his work and then brought him on. So it's like, and I'm not a Twitter user anymore, but like I got in contact with the Funhaus people because I was posting fan art on Twitter, and that's how I would communicate with them.
Right.
So like a lot of like the traditional ways of getting stuff is like, that's one way to do it, but the social media is like another big part of the way to do it. So I had a friend of mine who I worked with at Quibi who was like seeing like me post every week a different CordaRoy thing, because like in 2021 I made the one-off. And then I was like, I'm going to make another. I was just making stuff as I went. It was very like, as I go.
Right.
And he described it as like, oh, I love that I'm watching something develop in real time. And that kind of like helped me contextualize it. Cause like, I think like as an animator, I want to make my own show. There is like a consensus of like, it's like the standard ways of doing stuff of, I got to make a story Bible, and I got to figure out the world, and what are this character's likes and dislikes and blah, blah, blah. And I was just making a new thing every week that like, it's like, we're watching you come up with the ideas.
Oh yeah.
It's like, we're seeing this like come together in a reasonable way. And that kind of gave me this context of like, cause I think like, it gave me the context of like, this is the show. You're watching the show. The show is becoming what it is as it goes. And there's less pressure on that. And yes, I have ideas of things I want to do in the future, but like one thing at a time kind of thing. And it's pretty freeing in that regard. Like I think the first time I put out the first episode of him at the office, one of my friends, she's one of my best friends from college, Kaya Herman, she watches everything, whether she likes it or not. There was one time, like, there was a Steve Carell space show on Netflix.
Yep.
She saw it like 2 times. And I was like, oh, so do you like it? And she's like, no. I don't think it's that good. Like, she was just kind of like, it's like, why is it on again? I just have it on again. But she was like, I don't think it's that great. It's whatever. Like, she just watches everything. There's been times where I remember there being a time where she was like, there's just nothing to watch anymore. I watched everything. It's like, oh really? It's like, yeah. So like, she was upset because she was watching the Michael Jackson documentary. I'm like, well, why are you watching it? She's like, there's literally nothing else. I've seen everything. Like, she has seen so many shows multiple times. Like, because of her, I have gotten into Cheers, Frasier, and One Piece. Okay. Because it's like, if she has taken the time to watch it and says it's good, that's like a very like, oh, okay.
That's a good stamp of approval. This is a person's
opinion that I trust. This is someone's opinion that I trust. That it's like, she's watched stuff and hated it, and then she's watched everything and loved it. So it's like, I trust her opinion more than other people, because there's other people like, oh, I saw 2 episodes and I gave up, which is fair, which is valid. So her opinion is one that I hold in such a high regard. She was the first comment on the episode of him at the office. She was like, make this one a YouTube series.
Okay.
It was just like, it's like, okay, from her saying that, like, that's okay. Like, that's kind of like the frame where it's just like, okay, that's the value that is seen at first glance, that this is like, this is the thing. Do this one. So like, that was at least like that, and other people watching it was like, at least like the runway that I needed to be like, this is something worth doing. And I did, and there's a degree of me that also knew like, oh, I do like this. I will make more of these things. But like, having an audience saying that is also important too. And it was like different times, because I think like I had put it out at some point, and then a month later I put it out on TikTok. I was like, well, let's see how it does here. And it did great on TikTok, and I was putting stuff out on TikTok. And that was great for a while. And then I had to stop doing it because I got a job.
Yeah.
And then I went to go work on Royal Crackers. So like 2021, I was like, yeah, I'll still make stuff, but it's impossible to work on a cartoon 40 hours, 45 hours a week, and then go and make another cartoon. I was like, I got to go out and have a life and like go on dates and like try to meet somebody. Like, I can't just work on cartoon and then continue working on cartoon. It's so much work. Like, I always tell people the irony of that first episode of like, he's working so much, but he chooses to go be with his family and his girlfriend instead of working, because that's more important. The irony of that in my life is that in order to make the cartoon, to say that message, I have to sit in my room and make the cartoon and ignore my family. Like, all of this stuff, it's like, isn't it great to hang out with your best friend who's a cat and a turtle and you guys get to go on adventures? Yeah, that's great. I haven't hung out with my friends in a while. It's like, I think that's like a balance that I'm trying to fit. Like, I was just in Lake Arrowhead like 2 days with some friends for 4th of July. So like, I'm trying to do a better balance of like, anytime my friends are like, hey, do you want to hang out? It's like, okay, I'll drop everything, go do that. My brothers say like, hey, are you busy? It's like, what do you want to do? So like, I try to make that balance of like, make time for people, because what good is making this cartoon if I'm not making time for people? Like, it's almost like hypocritical to make a cartoon like CordaRoy, where he puts like his friends and family first, where he appreciates the small things in life, where he's a small little rat and he loves to like stop and just look at the small little nice things. And for me to not appreciate that in my own life, I think that is a struggle, because I work so much on this and I treat it like a job. That's another thing. Like, right now I'm unemployed. My last contract that I did at Titmouse, which is the studio that makes Royal Crackers, I was working as a character design assistant on another show that still hasn't come out. I think it'll come out maybe in August, September-ish on Amazon Prime. You'll hear about it later. But that contract ended like end of March, beginning of April. So like, for the last like 3 months, it's like, okay, you have the time. Put the time into this, because this is like something I believe in that I think is worth doing.
Absolutely.
So that's, it's a struggle to make time for like human beings, to make time for yourself, and then also to make the cartoon, because the reality is like, cartoons take a lot of time, and like, that's kind of where I feel the most joy. Like, people talk about being in a flow state. If I can sit and I draw for like 8 or 9 hours and get a lot of stuff done, this energy that I get from it. Like there's extroverted people, there's introverted people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a combo of both, where I get a lot of energy from me like being by myself and like honing in on my craft and like drawing and like really getting the thing I want to get done. Like there's like, yeah, I could be productive and get laundry done and dishes and like make sure I pay attention to this email and like renew my driver's license, renew the AAA membership, like all the things you have to do as an adult, whatever, blah blah blah, etc. But I don't feel fulfilled being productive. I feel fulfilled like drawing and like, wow, that was a really good drawing. Wow, I made that thing move. Wow, I feel like one of my favorite things to do when I travel is like I'll sit on a train and draw for like 5 hours
Oh, nice.
and like the draw and it's just like there's just like this feel there's just like this peaceful feel this peace that overcomes me when I have that. And then from that I can have like an immense amount of joy from that.
Yeah.
So like but then I also like I don't get to pour into that cup of giving myself the time to like make this art without having like the energy that I have from like going and visiting like my friends that I haven't seen in a while. Like, oh, where you pick back up where you left off. Like, I don't have like I have a lot. I'm very blessed that I have a lot of friends in my life that are work in a similar field, so they understand like, oh yeah, you're busy. I know I haven't seen you in a long time. I know I haven't seen you in like 4 months. They've been busy too because they've been traveling doing VFX work or they've been traveling shooting these different racetracks. You know, like
Yep.
they are they are also very busy, and I'm very blessed that I have friends that understand that I'm also busy. So I don't have to feel guilty like, oh man, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you for a little bit. Like we're adults. They know. So um but it's still like even though they know, I still want to just make sure I'm making time for the people in my life. And it's a struggle and I think I beat myself up over it a little bit too much that I don't do enough of what I think I should be doing. And if I were to ask any of my friends, I don't think they would feel that way.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel like I have to do that stuff to pour back into this cartoon, or else I don't think it's genuine.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it showcases just how personal of a project this is for you in the first place. The fact that you are thinking about aspects of that, and the fact that like, again, this could be just simply just animated rat, put it out there in the world, boom. But like the fact that you take the morals that you're trying to tell in this kind of animation stuff, and the fun adventures that you put CordaRoy in, whether it be with the cat, or whether it be with Velvet, or whether it be with Dustin or whatnot, like you still take the time to also reflect on yourself and realize like I want CordaRoy to be more or less as much of me as I possibly can in a way. Like I want to practice what I preach in a way.
Practice what you preach in a way, yeah. I also it's funny, I don't see CordaRoy as like an extension of me. Other people will make that claim, like you or my art director or other people in my life. Like um and yes, of course, yeah, there's a lot of the rat that is me, but like
I imagine there's at
always
least
kind
like
of
some elements of you. I'm not saying it's a full on like
yeah.
you are. I'm not saying you are CordaRoy. I'm saying like there's a lot of yourself that you put into CordaRoy.
Yes, 100%. I think that's like with any art.
Yeah.
There's always going to be like the person you're going to be able to see that person in like the art they make, you know. So like but 100%, you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, like, especially with again just the fun adventures you have been able to do with CordaRoy. I mean, you mentioned the skate park episode, which I'm gonna tell you right now, that's my personal favorite one. I love that one. So
Yay.
it's that one, and then when it comes to just like short form videos, I love the meme of, hey, don't be surprised if one day and then you see like the different like you see the baby photo, and then you see him like growing up until you get like the last two ones, which is the photorealistic CordaRoy, which is just it's just a hilarious visual. But like you've got CordaRoy, searching for treasure with Dustin and such, and then there's an alligator that does the whoop, 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 like sound effect and such. Like
That also is the wiggly alligator thing.
mm-hmm.
Again, my buddy Alex, where it was like his voice cracked. And we're like, yeah. There was a job we did during Comic-Con where we like put on a whole stage and like Fortnite. The professional Fortnite players came and played with Fortnite in front of everybody at Comic-Con. It was a whole big thing.
Okay.
Those were like 16-hour days, so we were just like brain dead by the end of them.
I
And
imagine.
for whatever reason, there was this rubber alligator that was just part of the equipment. Like it was at the studio. It was at the studio that we made there. they just kept bringing this rubber alligator. It was just whoever packed up the equipment is just like they just would always put in the bag with it. So there was always this rubber alligator around. We're just fucking exhausted, like after like 13 hours, and we're trying to drink LaCroix just to kind of like have some kind of hydration. We're just like, just try not to fucking fall asleep. And then my buddy Alex, he pulls out that alligator and wiggles it into my face. He's like, and like, and so like, and then from that point on, anytime he'd wiggle the alligator at my face, I'd have to be like, stop wiggling it, and then go back to normal. Like why? There's no reason why.
No, of course not.
It's
nothing,
funny, but that's what that's what that part was from. It was from like a late night where like we're just delirious with like no thoughts in our head.
I would say, does your buddy Alex know how much CordaRoy is influenced by him and his behavior?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Well, he's a buddy of mine from high school that we used to make like videos with each other. Like we were in the film class. I met him because like I was friends with a different guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know this guy. He wants to make like a Metal Gear parody at his garage." Like, and I told him, "You're like really weird. Like, do you want to come with me and we'll make this weird video?" I was like, "Sure." So like I went to this guy's house and we were just making weird videos, and then we just continued making weird videos. He's like one of my best friends. He's gotten me tons of work. Weird thing we do every year for Red Bull. Him, his like best friend in childhood growing up, Ralph, and me, we do this thing for Red Bull where it's like a charity stream where they raise money for like a charity. Like this Red Bull esports athlete hosts this like big live stream event for like a 10 or 13 hour day where he brings on guests, they play games, and they're raising money for charity. And it's a really great event. And for the last like 5 or 6 years, I think, my buddy Alex has produced the event, and then me and his friend Ralph, well, my friend too. We're all friends. We've been friends for like, I've been friends with them for like at this point like 15, 16 years, I think. That number's not right. I don't know. It's been a long time.
I was saying it's somewhere in that range.
Yeah, whatever. So time is crazy. But me and Ralph dress up as Santa Claus and an elf, and we're the interstitial parts between. It's the only on talent gig that I do a year where I dress up as Santa Claus and he dresses up as Ralph the elf, and we're just like, oh, they're getting set up for the next game. Can you guys announce the contest winners? It's like, oh, we have the contest winners, and we're like announcing, we're like doing like dumb little bits, like it's just like, oh, we're gonna have. It's just like, oh, it's all dumb shit. There was one year that like, oh yeah, we're gonna have no accidents this year, and President Bush like. We dub over footage of President Bush saying like, "Oh, we found weapons of elf destruction."
Oh my god!
We have to like try to convince President Bush to not kill the elf from the North Pole. There's one where like they're like trying to find like it's dumb shit. It's always like, oh, we need to find this part of the list. We need to fight Krampus because he's going to destroy Christmas.
There you go.
He needs to be the elf needs to become the ultimate boxer to save Christmas. It's nonsense. But it's like an on-camera talent thing that we do, and like the last year there was a storyline where the Santa Claus got bit by a reindeer and had reindeer rabies, and we had to find an antidote. And like there was like a Jerry Springer bit where somebody came and tried to beat up Santa Claus because he got put on the naughty list for like 30 years. It's dumb shit. It's nonsense. It's cartoonish, and it's a really fun thing that we get to do every year. I bring all this up because, like, not only does he have, because you asked, does Alex know how much of an inspiration he is for some of this stuff? He 100% knows. Ralph and Alex have given notes on CordaRoy the Rat.
Okay.
They've like, there's like the crab character where he's like, originally that was supposed to be Alex. That's my best impression of Alex. Of him like,
okay.
Like that's like, so, he 100% knows. He finds it crazy, like, wow, that's crazy that something that little and small was made into a bigger thing. He's very proud.
Good. I mean, he should be seeing just how much fun not only you but like it's seemingly this community that's more or less like developed with the more of these shorts that you put out there, like you said, like seeing the comments of people just being like, hey, this is incredible, keep doing more and such. And I also want to say like I also want to say I love how much like inspiration, how much you like take not just from like the real world but also like little bits of your art. I wanted to emphasize this fact because I noticed as I was doing my research or whatnot, like obviously you got CordaRoy, Alex has some inspirations with that and or whatnot. I know Velvet was initially one of the other rats that you had initially drawn or whatnot, and get to
yeah.
I also love how Dustin was actually part of a previous comic that you had tried making called Penelope and From Crumplies.
Yeah, okay.
Like I did my research, okay.
You did some great research. You definitely scrolled way further than most people.
Right?
I don't know how far down you scrolled, but yes, Dustin is in that little comic series.
Oh, is Dustin further than that?
What?
Does Dustin go back further than that?
He goes back further because he's like one of those like souvenir shop puppets that they sell at different souvenir shops. In downtown Disney, there was the Rainforest Cafe.
Yes.
That was this ugly, wrinkled up little turtle puppet that you would find at any of these rainforest cafes or like natural history museums. It was just a sea turtle who just like had his like bags under his eyes and this frown, and he was just sad looking. So like to cheer up my little brother, when he was maybe like, I don't know, like 9. Now he's like 21. I don't get it. But like he was like a kid. Somewhere on my Instagram, there's a video of me like wiggling this puppet around. He's like, "Get off of my beach! This is my beach!" Like it's like everyone's ruining it. And that's just a video I'd post. And I would make a new one of those. I was a broke college kid. I would never buy the puppet. I would find the puppet at other souvenir spots and make videos whenever I'd find the puppet. It's like, you keep forgetting about me. Like it was, and why Dustin? I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. And now I've met a couple Dustins and they're like, where did that name come from? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't have that information, but Dustin does go back for, he was a puppet that I would just find at shops. I would never buy it. I did buy it once at a con because I was like, I should probably own this puppet. Put it in my bag, never saw it again. Don't know where it went. Yeah, so like but yeah, Dustin goes back further than that. Actually,
I'll say that's why it's Dustin the Sea Witch, because you put it in the bag and all of a sudden they use magic to just disappear.
Yes, exactly. I haven't carried over any of like his Sea Witch stuff. I think I might drop that. I don't know. Like I haven't found a way to like make that funny yet.
I mean, the way you have them kind of more or less like presented now, like I don't think the Sea Witch stuff is really necessary. Maybe do like a one-off when it comes to like Halloween or whatnot. Like find that to emphasize in there or whatnot. But funny you bring up Halloween. That was one of my favorite episodes because I remember having those drawings in a sketchbook of like having that idea. Mm-hmm. But I kept getting stopped because I was like, what on earth are they supposed to be for Halloween? Like I had all these drawings of like, it'd be cute if Velvet was like a Sailor Moon character. It'd be cool if CordaRoy was Piccolo or something. But it's like, I think that's like the easy answers. And I drew something of Rex Kwon Do, of him as like Rex Kwon Do from Napoleon Dynamite. And it was obscure enough to be like, obscure enough, but also iconic enough for people to know what it was. It was like, why this out of everything? So like I've at least like that is kind of goes back to 30 Rock a little bit. I think like because we're on the internet, this is something that I'm at least trying to be mindful of is like reference humor. Like when CordaRoy is with Monster the Cat in the streets and he's trying to be hip hop, it's the music from Initial D, is the Mazda RX-7 from Initial D, it's Keisuke Takahashi from Initial D. I try to do my best impression of Keisuke Takahashi. It's all Initial D. And it's like, and even like there's, I'm putting references to other media in it all the time. And then the music that I use is also referenced from other material. Like the skate park, it's like, everyone is like, oh yeah, that's the Crazy Taxi music. It's like, well, it's The Offspring, but sure, it's Crazy Taxi.
It's like,
I mean,
but
you whenever I think skate park, especially music like that, I instantly go back to like Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like that's where my mind goes.
Well, like, because I had friends be like, I think you should put the Tony Hawk Pro Skater music in, but I wanted to put the Offspring in it instead. And then my friends were like, "Oh, well, that's the same vibe.
Yeah,
Like, it's not the soundtrack specifically from Tony Hawk, but it is the same vibe." And I'll tell you what, that skate park episode, I was editing that one. That one went through so many story revisions of me trying to get that thing right.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, and that's the luxury of like not having a deadline and not having somebody like saying like, well, it needs to be done by this point.
Right.
You can take your time with getting something done, but then also the flip side is then it never gets done. So like that one took me a really long time. Like for context, that one, the hip hop one and Dustin on the Beach, those have been sitting on my computer in different stages of being worked on since 2021, and they came out in 2024.
Goodness, yeah.
They took so long because also thankfully, like I said, I was working on Royal Crackers, so like I didn't have time to get back to them, and I would try to chip away at them every now and then. I would chip away at them little by little, and even when I was finishing those 3 big ones, I was thinking, well, like, okay, I have to have little ones that come out in between. So like I was like, okay, he can go look for treasure. He can go, I don't know, he's running on the treadmill. Like I was coming up with little ones, and then the little ones started getting more elaborate. It's like, no, we gotta make. I kept trying to pull back, like, because as an artist, I was like, oh, and he could do this, and he could do that, and that could be a thing, and and it connects, and it makes so much sense. It's like that's great that you made those story connections, but there's no time to make that. We need to pull back.
Yeah.
I keep saying this thing, like for the last like 7 years, I've always in the back of my head have said like, there's just not enough time. I can't do it. There's just not enough time. I have to like pull back because there's just not enough time. I'm not going to finish it. There's not enough time. And it's just always been this negative sentence that's been rolling around in my head. But I've found a way to manage. But in the process, like I said, you just come up with different things. I think that like if I worked, anytime I work with somebody, I try to give them I'm like super self-conscious of like, don't give them a half-finished thing. Make sure they know exactly what it is they're working on.
Of course.
Because you don't want them asking any questions. You don't want them being confused. Like they are helping you, make it easy on them. When it's just me, I'm like at the 11th hour, like actually that should be different. Like I feel so stupid for admitting this. That skate park one where it opens up and it's like, yeah. It was the night before I uploaded. I was like, wait a minute. It works perfectly because they say the word yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't make the connection. I put that song in there because I just like the song. Like,
right.
Anytime you start playing Crazy Taxi, it's like, it's like it gets me going. I didn't even make the connection. The one thing he says is said in the song. Didn't make the connection. I worked on it for a year and a half. Didn't even fucking think. And then the night before, I'm like, wait a minute, like.
I'm a genius somehow.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. And it was right there in front of me. I didn't fucking see it.
Oh my god.
And so it's like you figure out this stuff as you go.
Oh man, the thing is, I totally understand why that's more or less the mentality you have, because like you were focused on like what he was saying as like a fun little like tongue-in-cheek thing. You just thought the song was a fucking vibe, and that's what you were trying to go for when it came to this thing. And then like once you have everything done, you've got everything that you're focused on, you take a step back and you look at it as a whole and you realize, how did my mind make an accidental genius here with this moment? How did I do that?
Just upset that it's like, why didn't I? It's like, I'm happy I clocked it.
Yeah.
Why didn't I see it sooner? Like, recently I made plushies of the character, and I took the plushie to my friend Ralph's house because he's a photographer, and he took the product shots for the website of it.
Right.
And I saw his parents, and I talked to his parents for a bit. Wonderful people. And I showed his mom. I was like, look, this is the thing I made. And she immediately squeezes it and says, oh, it doesn't say anything. I'm like, fuck! It's like, I ordered so many of these things. And she was like, oh, it's like, He says one thing. He could have said the one thing when you squeeze it, and I didn't fucking think of it. And now, and people are like, oh, well, that's, I mean, you could do that later. And it's like, I should have done it now. I should have saw it. Like,
just say that. Like, say that for Christmas season.
Oh my gosh, it's and even that, like I said, like the stuff sat on my computer for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Again, kind of going like that Rooster Teeth mentality of like make 6 before you put out 1. The internet forgets about you so quickly.
Yeah,
I wanted to kind of like traditional television. I wanted to have like a couple of them banked so that every week a new one could come out, because I had the Dustin one done for like a year that I was just sitting on, and friends were like, just fucking put it out, and I'm like, no, that's not how I want to do it. I want them to come out week to week to week so that people don't forget about it, but then also it's just like that way it feels like a show, like I'm doing my version of what a show is, because I've talked to friends where they're like, is that a thing you'd want to pitch to people? And the way the animation landscape is for things where you sell an idea to somebody, but now it's owned by this studio or by this company, and they get to choose whether it even sees the light of day, or even if it does air. Like, there's so many ways for it to be, there's so many points where it can be said no. Like, you sell the idea and they choose to not make a pilot, but the idea is theirs because you sold it to them. Or they make the pilot and they don't make a series, but they own the pilot and the idea stays with them. Or they make a series, and this has happened many times. They make a full 13 episodes. It's on the shelf. We're not going to release it. We're not doing anything with it.
Oh, yeah.
Or like you make a whole show and it's great and people love it, and it's like, we're not renewing it. Or it's and then even after that, it's a show, they made it, they're not renewing it, but it's here. Oh, for a tax break, let's just get it off the service. There's no legal way to watch this thing. So like the current animation industry environment like just doesn't like sit well with me. Like to me, there's a little bit too much value to me in this little rat just because it's my fun little thing. And yeah, it's a little selfish. The way things get made on a bigger scale is, yes, you do have to, like a business, you sell it. And it's like people are invested by them giving capital forth to do that kind of thing. And people have asked, do you want to pitch it? Because I've worked at a studio where I could easily set up a meeting and go pitch it. But to me, that's not interesting. Like, I like the idea of being able to control what it is I do with it. It's like, sure, there's a part of me that's like, with going back to the being naive kind of thing, I think like, I am older at this point. It's like I have to make money. I have to make a living. I have to be a responsible human. Like, is it irresponsible of me to like not try to make this a bigger thing and sell it to a network? But it's like, I mean, the way things are, it's not, to me, that almost feels like to me, it's devaluing it. Like, there's so many comments of like, oh, I wish this was a full series. I wish this was a full show. I would love to see this on Netflix or Cartoon Network. And the comment I would always post, it's like, oh, I would love for this to be a full show. I've posted like, this is the show. You're watching it.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Like, this is not like a pitch for something else. Like, it's small, but it's like, it's small in this little context, and this is what it is, and this is what it's going to be. And to me, that has its own value of it being its own thing. Would I love for it to be bigger at some point? Sure, but like maybe on my own terms.
Exactly.
And I don't know what that is, but that's a future Napoleon problem. Like kind of like when I was in school. Like, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm a little kid or when I'm an older person. Like, but I'll figure that out later. I got to go play with my friends. I got to go play Donkey Kong,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, I appreciate the fact that you're sticking with your guns more or less at the end of the day, because honestly, like, if you wanted to take time and like have this be something bigger than it is, like you said, it's very easy for you to like set up a meeting, get some pitches going, like maybe you can't, but like there is a lot of, like I said, yourself, a lot of love and passion that you put in this, to where like people saying like, oh, I want to see a full show of this. This is the show. Let it roll out. Let it unravel. Watch it in real time. Kind of like that one friend says, like, I love seeing a show develop in real time. You take, like, again, you've already dedicated like years to this thing and have already showed so much love and appreciation, because especially from what we were talking, like you said, with every single animation, you want at least one frame that's gonna make you laugh, like no, like you never would. And I imagine you're also the kind of person to where it's like, even if you, like, obviously you love CordaRoy, but if there's just like a concept that you're just not like vibing with, or you don't think it's gonna be as funny, like I imagine you're gonna be the person to be like, we'll put that on the drawing board, maybe we'll release it later on or whatnot, but I'm not gonna like force something out there, more or less, if I don't think it's funny.
Right.
And so like,
sure.
and I, especially with what you have been able to put out there, just all the different fun and hilarious moments in one form or fashion, whether it's CordaRoy freaking wiping out on the way down of the state, the bowl at the skate park before pulling out a tech deck and doing a quick little kickflip on it, or again, whether it be the silly alligator, just the plastic alligator, rubber alligator, just boop 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 boop. It does lead me to ask, like, of all that you have been able to produce so far, like, you've got to have a favorite moment or a favorite episode. Like, is there a particular, like, favorite thing about CordaRoy that you've been able to do so far?
Okay. That's a great question. I don't think I've ever thought about what my favorite thing to do is. I think there's so much of like what I think about in my head of like that, like there's so much with CordaRoy that I haven't gotten to do, and I think like those are my favorite moments because they just haven't been done yet. Like I think, like I said, like the stuff that I made is on the shelf and it's fantastic, and I'm very proud of all the stuff that I've done. But I just have like my favorite stuff I still just haven't got to yet. But give me a second. Let me come up with something, because that's also the other thing. There's a lot of stuff that I have done just for this rat. Like if I look back and look, I'm like, oh, this is a lot more stuff than I am giving myself credit for. So it is sometimes easy to forget, like, oh yeah, I forgot that I had done that part. There is like one of my favorite moments, because like it is a little cartoon rat, but any moment where you can have it be real is like, I think a very successful thing. Like, on the beach where that little cookie that he's eating is like a Mexican like shortbread cookie with like strawberry jelly in the middle.
Okay.
I used to eat those as a kid all the time. So like him like giving that to Dustin, I think like, okay, so my favorite moment is like where he's like, "Are you my new best friend?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like it's like a more understated one where he's like kind of like, and he's like kind of awkward and he kind of like pounds his fist.
Yes.
Where they kind of like looks away and he's like, okay, well, like, what do we say now? Like, that's one of my favorite moments, because it's like, he still says yeah, but he says it a very different way.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you know what he means. It's like, oh, we've all been there before. So like, I think those are the more successful moments of when it can be like more real, and like I can become very cartoonish and like in like these sections. And I think anytime I can make that rat seem like anytime I can make the rat seem a little bit more normal and still get a chuckle out of people, I think probably that one is, because it's so different than the rest of the way he talks.
Yeah.
But at least shows like the potential of like, okay, just saying one thing, you can do so much with just saying one thing this way. And I think like, so like I think that's maybe my favorite moment. He's like, "Are you my new best friend?" Like he's also like Dustin. He's so pathetic too. like and he's just a whiner.
Yeah.
Like he's just such a whiny little character. And like there's stuff on my computer that I have recorded that it's like, okay, I haven't put this out. There's like, I'll be driving and I'll think of different things for Dustin to say that just make me laugh. Like I think Dustin is maybe my favorite character, I would say, just because he's like, there's so much I haven't put out there where it's just arguments he's having with Monster the cat. Like there's an episode, at some point I'll make it, but it's like, there's an episode where like Monster has like a sister, but I haven't put her in the series. Like at some point she'll be in the series.
Okay.
But like that he's like Dustin's girlfriend breaks up with him and he's sad. And he's like, "Don't worry, there's plenty other fish in the sea." He immediately looks at his sister and he's like, "Hey, what's up, girl? You like candy?" And it's like, "Not my sister. Don't date my sister." It's like he's so pathetic, but his opening line is like, "Hey, what's up, girl? You like candy?" It's like, what?
I mean, that's a hell of a way of making a first impression more than anything else.
So like that's the thing. I'll have like bits in my head of like, oh, that's like a fun idea. That's a fun nugget. And even the other day, I've always had like different nuggets of stuff, like of different episode ideas. And when I say episodes, like maybe like 30 seconds to a minute of like a bit, for social media. And at some point, like 2 days ago, I was driving and thought, oh, that bit actually could connect to this bit. And this bit could connect to that. That actually could be like a full episode of something, like a pilot, or like this is like a concept piece of this. If this was like a longer form story of these bits connecting together. So I am always getting these ideas, and that's why I say like, oh, my favorite things are still yet to come, and that's such a hokey answer of like, the first one's yet to come. It's like, no, but like, it's like, but what's actually been seen, I like that human moment where he's just kind of like, are you my new best friend? He's like, oh, yeah. Like that's maybe my favorite moment so far. There's other stuff that I really like that's later that just hasn't come out yet.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean,
yeah. I will say, to also answer your question, what's my favorite thing that I've done? I know a favorite, like, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
Before I get too far away from it, like I said, like, oh, there's people that have commented like, oh, I would die for CordaRoy, whatever. One of my favorite comments that I've gotten to this day, and only like 2 people have said this comment, is like, in the skate park episode, actually in all the episodes, it ends, the little stinger at the end is an Aquabat song. It's like an Aquabat song from, I think, their first or second album. It's like before the album Everybody Knows.
Right.
It's like, it's this really fun song, big trumpets. Like Aquabats, the very big inspiration because their music is just very big and joyful and happy. So it's like, I love the trumpets in those songs. So that's like, Aquabat song is like the stinger at the end of all this stuff. So there's a big ska influence in the show. And there's like 1 or 2 times people have commented, hey, did you know ska came before reggae? And I'm so proud of that comment because that is a joke from a Funhaus video from like 7 years ago.
That's right.
Where it's like Bruce is just being stupid. He's like, hey, did you know that ska came before reggae? Did you know that reggae came before ska? And it's like the dumbest shit.
Right.
And they're like, and James is like, oh yeah, okay. Like, and they just make fun of him for liking ska.
Scoot it up, scoot it up, scoot it up, scoot it up.
Pick it up. It's like it's like such an inside joke for them to just make fun of ska.
Yep.
And I think that's my favorite thing about people who are watching CordaRoy is when they notice the dumb shit I leave in. Where it's like that one specifically, I texted Elise. I was like, hey, look at this. And they're like, are you serious? What? It's like, I texted her like, it's like people still remember that shit. Like, and it's like they're going to your video to comment that. And she was like, do you think it'd be crazy if they ever found out that you were there at Funhaus? And I'm like, they don't know that. They're just typing that into the comments. Well, I think there's an episode where like Monster is showing DVDs, and that is like, those DVDs are all what I used to do at Funhaus on a daily basis. Was like, oh, we need something. We make some dumb joke, make a visual, but make it dumb. Like, I think like Elise gave me the note of like, okay, if we're talking about something and it's like we need to frame it in a way, like maybe it's like, oh, it's a newspaper article where it says local man falls off building, and it's like the Photoshop is like one of our crazy faces falling down the building. And she was like, don't spend any more than like 50 minutes to an hour on that because it's only going to be on frame for 1 second. If you have time, secondary jokes are really great too, where in the corner of the newspaper, you can have like a different story that says Greg Kinnear still missing. And it's like, I always use that as an example in my head. It's like, is there time for a secondary joke?
Of course.
Of like, so like all those DVDs are like all these different things. And they're all these different things. And then one of them is the Ketchup Brothers. Mm-hmm. The Ketchup Brothers I put as directed by Elise Willems. And there's people that are looking, and then they start commenting like, oh, I'm really happy. And they go along with the bit. It's like, I'm really happy that Elise Willems really took the reins on this and adapted it very closely to the source material. Like they're creating lore for the Ketchup Brothers in the comments, and I've had to send this to. I've sent this stuff to Elise, and it's like, what do these people do? like there was like somebody made fan art of CordaRoy and Velvet asks CordaRoy. Hold on, let me pull it up because I'm referencing fan art that like somebody like I would love to like shout out the artist who did this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fan art is by Sarah Ann Art. She's been in the live streams before, but she made this fan art of like Velvet asking CordaRoy, "Do you want to go see the Ketchup Brothers?" So just from like a poster in a cartoon, it's now like, oh, the Ketchup Brothers is like this movie in the lore of this cartoon.
Yes.
And I always send them to Elise. She's like, why is it a thing in this? Because the Ketchup Brothers, again, I was with James and Elise at Universal Studios. We were at Nintendo Land, and we were eating the food. And Elise, like, she got ketchup packet, and there was 2 ketchup packets just connected to each other. And she was like, she just looked at it and be like, oh, look, it's the Ketchup Brothers. We were like, what? Like, she's like, it's the Ketchup Brothers. Like, and then we just moved on. And then when I was making these little DVD things, I put that in there as a stupid thing. And now it's become this thing in this other thing. It's like, it's a very 30 Rock-esque thing of,
exactly.
That's the fake movie in a real movie. It's like, that's the fake movie in a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gravity Falls, where they have like the old guy gunslinger. He's like, I'm tired during the day. Like, it's just like the dumb fake stuff in TV or movies is like a really funny joke. I don't know how I got on this. Favorite things that I love about, so like, I love like the way things take a life of its own. And I think those little things of like Scott Came Before Reggae or the Ketchup Brothers, like little things that are in the video and then people find it and point it out and recognize it, shows me that there's like people that are watching beyond just like, oh yeah, he says a funny thing, you know, like they're watching it multiple times. And that's like, to me, I find that special. And then again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. That's what kind of helps me to continue making it. Cause there's people that are like going beyond what's there in front of them. And it shows me there's so much more value to this than just like oh my gosh, like the world is being built whether I like it or not. It's not like oh, I have all these ideas and they go to this school and they study magic and there's 4 nations of different elements and they have a twin brother, but his feet are backwards. Like there's like all these like random stuff.
I now need to see fan art of CordaRoy's twin brother whose feet are backwards. I now need to see that.
It's nobody needs to see that. Sorry, that's not good improv. You're like, oh yes, and I'm like, no, that's not great improv. Sorry,
but like you're saying, there's people that have just all this like immaculate lore or whatnot, and sometimes it just doesn't need to be that.
Yeah, and I think that's also the other thing. Like, I think it's to me, I still think of it as this small little thing. I have ideas for it. But I also have to pace myself and be like, okay, what's doable? What can I get done in a reasonable amount of time? Like, I've also, because also the reality is that I also don't make any money off of this. I make like sales, like I make money from like shirts or the plushies, but it's, again, there we go. CordaRoyTheRat.net. If anybody wants a t-shirt,
trust
they're
me,
there.
Link will be in the description. Don't worry, I got you.
At least with the merch, like the plushies have made money because I get more of a return on them. The shirts, because it's print on demand, I have them up for people that want them. Like I'll maybe like, it'll be like whatever I get profit is actually like maybe enough for like half a meal or a cup of coffee or something, So like it is, what was I trying to say? It doesn't make any money, but I've had, there's been a lot of I have a lot of wonderful people reach out to me about helping out. Like, I have somebody helping me out with some animation right now. I mentioned Zoe helped out with some animation earlier, like last month. I have a friend of mine from Quibi who has helped out with some animation as well, whenever she has time. The backgrounds, I like the Dustin episode, I did the beach. I was not happy with the backgrounds in that. I did the boat, but the boat took me so much longer. Like anytime I'm having to like paint something, it's taking me longer. Um, Backgrounds are not my strong suit. I have friends that are fantastic digital painters. So like I've had friends come in and do the backgrounds that like one is a digital painter, one works on like different Nickelodeon shows that they've come and helped out. So like I've been blessed that I've had a lot of people that like I still try to keep it small because so much of it is me. And like I said, when I bring somebody in, I want to just make sure it's clear and concise and not overload them because like I said, like it's like I've told them it's like I can't really pay you. I don't have the capital to do that. I can give you shirts, I can give you plushies, I can give you merchandise, I can compensate you in that way, but I really can't. I can't give too much back because I'm not really getting much. But so like even with all that being said, still a very big blessing that I have friends that have helped contribute to the art, and I want to try to bring in more people too because like
Of course.
not only for my own sanity but just also like you get so many more ideas flowing when more people are involved as well. Like I could sit in a vacuum and make all this stuff forever, but it's there's been times where like Ralph or Alex have been driving through town where like, oh, I had to go pick up this equipment in Los Angeles or I had to go back home to here. And I stopped by your apartment and use your bathroom because like I'm at a middle point. I'm like in a little bit outside of central LA. So it's definitely happened. My friends are like, hey, do you want to grab lunch? Also, I need to go to the bathroom. Can I please stop by? I'm like, sure. So like I've had it to where like my brothers or my friends, they're passing by and I'm like working on stuff and I look back and they're just asleep on the couch. It's like, okay, like, and that's great. I'm happy they feel at home here.
Of course, of course.
But, oh my gosh, the way I tell stories, I got to get quicker at telling stories. I ramble. But all this to say, they've been in the apartment and they've looked at stuff and they've given really solid notes. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's a fantastic way. That's a great angle to this. Like anytime there's collaboration involved, like I get a better product out of it too.
Of course.
So that's another thing that like going forward, I want to try to incorporate more of like, how do I invite people in to work on something together, you know?
Absolutely.
Collaboration is a thing I want to get better at. Just so that way I'm not sitting in my own little world too much and get stagnant.
No,
Had to yawn.
I think right. I'm probably gonna edit the yawn out just to make sure you don't look like you're having a stroke halfway through or whatnot.
Oh man. I forgot what your question was. I'm sorry.
No. That's perfectly fine. I mean, to be fair, like I think I don't even know where my question was at that point.
No, you know what? You said, "What's your favorite thing about CordaRoy?" You were gonna go somewhere else, and I cut you off and started talking about comments, and I kept going. I rambled.
No.
Other fucking thing. Cut all of this out.
No. I'm not cutting it out because honestly, like it did lead into one of the next points that I was gonna ask, which was like more or less like the community you've been able to build behind it. But I think you just perfectly illustrated it right there, talking about like not just people in the comments like getting in on some of the jokes as well, but also like, you know, having friends and people that are like, you know, close to you collaborating, like having this like unique community to help really develop it more, like even like thinking a little further than that, taking like a step back and like thinking about how much you've been able to do, not just with CordaRoy, but as an artist as a whole. Like ever since you were young and you had like the little papers and like the little handy dandy notebooks, Blue's Clues, and like, you were drawing stuff, to here you are right now, like going forth and putting something out there that you love and other people love and appreciate as well, and something that you want to put out on your own terms. Does it more or less surprise you how far you have been able to develop as an artist?
I think like this is gonna sound a little arrogant. I'm not surprised, but I am like appreciative. Like I am like I'm very. I don't let that be lost on me. That like I'm very grateful. That's the word. I'm very grateful of where I'm at, of like the people that like love it, because it's like, yeah, I love it. That's also the other thing. I don't want to sound arrogant that like I'm not surprised that I'm here, because I always liked what I was making. I always knew my stuff was good. Like I could see people's stuff that they would make, and I would know like, oh well, I wouldn't make that. I would probably make it like this. Like there's a lot of stuff in this world I don't know. Like, I think one of the things I know the most is that I don't know that many things. It's like there's so much I just don't know. But some of the things I do know is like, okay, my stuff isn't the best, but I know it ain't bad. So like I know what I like. I know more or less like what I think is good in the moment. So like um I'm not surprised that it's where it's at right now. I'm just more grateful for it.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how long you've been more or less like, especially with how unique of a life we've been able to talk about so far, and how you've been able to have such good support and so many incredible opportunities one after another. Whenever the opportunity arises from people that you love and appreciate, and the fact that you still get that love and support to this day, both personally and I guess in a way professionally, with how you've been able to put out CordaRoy or whatnot. Like, you can't help but be grateful. I mean, or at least I would like to hope that if someone was in your shoes in a similar situation, they would also be as grateful, if not more grateful, than you illustrated right there. And I totally get that.
Yeah, grateful in that like I think like every you talked about dream of like, oh, animation, this is the dream. Like, oh, somebody set off a firework in
Okay.
broad daylight outside my apartment. Sorry. Um, it's like the dream was. It's like there was always this dream because you saw like Fairly Odd Parents or SpongeBob on TV, and the dream was always like, I want that. I want to make that. It was never I want to be at an animation studio, that I want to make film, I want to make art, I want to make all these things. I wanted to make a TV show that made people laugh, a series.
Yes.
That was always the dream, and I always felt everybody had that dream. So like it must not that it's not a worthwhile dream, but like we can't all have this dream. It's not possible for all of us to have this thing. So like I would move the goalpost back. I would do like when I was out of college, it's like, oh, my goal is to be on even if I'm just working in some form of production, just on a TV show, like that's my goal. Within 6 months I was there at Player Select. So then I was talking to friends, it's like I had to move the goalposts. It's like, okay, I want to work in production in some regards on an animated show. And then like within like another 6 months that had happened. So it's like the goals were like so like I kept understating what my goals were because like I didn't want to like overshoot it. And you kind of in that realm, you kind of like let go of that dream of like it's like, oh, well, it's time to be an adult. Let go of that. So like, and that is kind of like, even in this whole conversation, I was kind of like that in the beginning here, talking about like, oh, I didn't really have that or this dream, and I definitely did, but I never felt like I was allowed to say that kind of thing, because it's like, okay, but that's not actually going to happen. Like, don't get your hopes up, kid. Like, I've had that said to me before in my life by like adults. Like, it's like, okay, like relax, I thought it was arrogant to think that I could do something like that. So like you kind of put that dream on hold, you put it on the side. It's like, no, well, look, what's a more realistic goal? And I kept hitting those realistic goals. And let's see. That's why I say grateful, because my dream in my head was always like, I will be there because that's what I want. I am going to be there. I would just never say it out loud. Like, I am going to do that. And anytime I've said that of like, so, like anything of like, oh yeah, I want to make this, I want to do that, not the best reception. Like, it's just kind of, because it does come across a little arrogant. So I just kind of keep that to myself. So like, I never talk about having a dream in the way you say it. So like, to be here where I'm at, I'm grateful that like that other people saw what I saw.
Exactly.
Like I did. Like when in school, we had professors come in that are like, that really shook a lot of kids. I say kids, but like 19-year-olds, but like really shook a lot of kids, because they were like, hey, if you want to be in this industry, say goodbye to the video games, say goodbye to the girlfriend. And it's like, he was a little intense, but it was still kind of like, like he's coming from a place of, you got to be doing this craft 8 to 10 hours a day. You got to be working, you got to be drawing for 40 hours, 50 hours a week. How are you going to expect to get a job doing this? And they're going to ask you to do this for 40 hours if you already don't do it for 40 hours a day. Like, you have to take this stuff seriously. And I saw a lot of students. I saw their heads go down and just kind of be like bummed out. It's like, no, you gotta sacrifice everything and this and that. And there's a degree of what he's saying that's true.
Yeah.
And like, because another thing, it was just like, there's not enough jobs to go around. You got to be competitive. A lot of you aren't gonna make it. Blah blah blah. And it's like, and again, that naivety that I had in my head, and I still kind of go back and forth. Like, was it me being naive, or was it me like being confident in myself? Because I remember in my head, it's like, yeah, a lot of them won't find jobs, but I will.
Yeah.
And then went about my day, and I just didn't like. It was like, it's like I was just like, yeah, a lot of them won't find jobs, but I'll be fine. I'll do fine. I was like, it's so like I go back and forth. Like, it's like I always in my head had this confidence, and I wouldn't tell anybody because like it's kind of like, to me, I was like, that's kind of a dirty look. I don't want to do it. But I always had this in my head of like, there's so many things I don't know. There's so many things I'm not confident in. There's so many things I'm apologizing for all the time. I always feel like I'm in the way. I always feel like I'm like not saying the thing that people want me to say. Very people pleaser mentality. There's like so much of my life that I'm just so unsure of, but I was always sure that this is what I was gonna do. Like, yeah, I'll make that. SpongeBob, I'll do that. Like, it was never a fucking question. And I think that's why I was naive of like, you're not looking for a job? It's like, no, I'll find one. Like, that's always what I had in me, and I just don't talk about that because it sounds arrogant. So I'm not surprised. I was always supposed to be here, and I'll be somewhere else bigger later. Where? I don't know, but it's like this is not the pinnacle of it. I'm still gonna keep going.
Well, there you go.
So I'm not surprised. I'm grateful.
There you go. That is a good mentality to have when it comes to this stuff. And I appreciate the fact that like I'm not that pinnacle yet, but I'll get there. I'll figure out what that pinnacle is.
Yeah.
But
we're on the way.
Yeah. So it leads me to ask, at least when it comes to the next question, what if we envision that pinnacle for you, if I may? And I, Napoleon, give you more or less the dream scenario, if I may. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to you and like, look, Napoleon, we've seen what you've been able to craft. We've seen the work you've been able to put in through here. We know there's something here. There is gold right there, just right here. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get you to that point, more or less. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. We probably should be giving it back to the animators and making sure they're compensated, make sure they have a good living wage, healthcare, housing, all that kind of stuff. We'll focus on them a little bit. We promise. But right now, we're focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream Napoleon Chavez project?
The dream scenario. First off, whatever this magic deal you're talking about, cards on the table, I have to retain full creative rights.
Of course.
Of it.
Of course.
Like, that is like baseline. My dream scenarios, I retain full creative rights. I own the IP.
Of course.
It's the dream scenario is like a George Lucas. I own all the rights to this. I have all the merchandising rights. And how do you sweeten the deal for like my idea is I own all the rights to it. Netflix gets the distributing rights.
Well, there you go.
They get to have a full series of this show, maybe 12 to 15 episodes of a season 1 on Netflix. It's like maybe down the line it also shows up on YouTube, but they get to use it in their promotional material. They get to promote it as a Netflix show. They get to use it in their marketing material. That CordaRoy the Rat, that there's 2 seasons of a show that air on Netflix.
Okay.
Dream scenario is I get to hire all my friends that have helped do backgrounds. That I hire like a separate person to do like merchandise, that can also support the animation staff on the side to just kind of help out with because reality, people have family emergencies that I'm able to bring in different animators as like floaters when someone has to step out for a bit.
Absolutely.
I don't have this grandeur of like wanting to start a studio, but to make this show, a studio would be formed to do that. But the goal isn't the studio. The goal is to make the product. The studio happens because we need to make the product of having a season 1 of a show a second season of a show, and dream scenario, the season finale of the second season, writing wise, gets too big and too elaborate and gets away from us, and it gets so big that we release it later in theaters as a movie instead.
Oh, there we go.
So that it'd be 2 seasons of and a movie, and we make and we could do mixed media and like budget wise, like okay, how do we change it up a bit? I would love to hire like maybe there's like a Christmas special that can be done by like my professor from college who's done the SpongeBob Christmas specials. They could do a stop motion episode that's like a holiday episode. There could be I would love to have like Elise Willems involved in some way to like come and do like an episode that's like all like Jim Henson puppets. Like I would love to do a version. I would love to do an episode where I would love to do an episode where the elf character from the Red Bull thing I do every year with my friends, that my buddy can be in live action and a puppet CordaRoy has to help him do one of these things, and that's aired as an episode. Like I would love to, in a very Gorillaz type way, be very experimental with some episodes, like have like a traditional series for like 9 episodes and have like a weird one-off that's like a 10th episode. And then that way I can have like live action friends come in and help out with that, of like, okay, like my friends that are camera operators or line producers, they can come in and make that episode. So like to treat each season as if though, hey, might be the only thing we get to make. Let's have a lot of fun and let's get this done, and try to create like a working environment that like people say like, yeah, I've done a lot of weird jobs. That was weird, but like I really loved it, and I hope we could do something again like that. Like to make an environment where like people feel like that was weird, but man, was that fun. So to do 2 seasons, have a movie that have a season finale that gets so out of control that we have to release it as a movie in theaters. That movie, if it's good enough, then gets in the running for Academy Awards, so that way it could get nominated, so that way I can at least take my mom to the Oscars, because we would watch the Oscars every now and then. And we would make fun of the categories and make fun of the people. So all of that just so that I could have a way to bring my mother to the Oscars, because I already told her that if I ever go, she's my date.
There you go.
So I'll take my mom to the Oscars. Regardless of win or lose, that's the goal, is to get there.
Of course.
And then maybe do 1 or 2 more seasons of CordaRoy, have like a third season and maybe a 4th season, but then the series end, and then there's a Christmas movie that's in theaters.
There you
go. So it'd be 2 seasons, a movie about treasure hunting, another 2 seasons, and a Christmas movie. And that's it. That's the dream scenario.
Well, there you go.
And like,
that's a hell of a dream scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I see for myself. So that if I get to all of that I will be surprised by.
There you go.
But I could see it, and we'll see when I get there. Maybe I won't be surprised anymore. Maybe I'll be grateful. Like the Netflix show, I'll be surprised by if that happens. Because like that's also a thing, like you'd have to sell it and they'd have to own it for that to actually happen. Right. To hold on to creative control, you would have to have the capital to do that yourself.
Exactly.
And that's the big hurdling block of like being able to do this a specific way, is money. So that's the dream scenario.
That's the dream scenario. But sadly, we do gotta get down from that dream scenario. We have to get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question. Where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
5-10 years? Let's see. I think like 5 years. Let's see. 5 years? 5 years, I'd say like maybe in 5 years, maybe like starting that series probably.
Okay, there you go.
Starting that series, having like a steady girlfriend, and like maybe a dog or something.
Oh, there you go.
A dog with a steady girlfriend. Maybe we live together, and maybe I'm like at that point in my career. That's what in 5 years at like 35. At 40 in 10 years, I think at that point in 10 years, maybe career doesn't. I would love to maybe be married and have like a kid or two, and maybe own property. That's what I would love in 10 years. Career wise, that is anyone's guess. I
Yep.
think career wise, maybe I'm consulting or supervising on somebody else's project. Maybe I'm helping out with maybe I'm working on my thing. Career wise, I think in 10 years, career wise is anybody's game because of how much animation changes. I think I'm more interested in where life is at that point, and then the career stuff can kind of follow. Because this I've talked this whole conversation. I haven't really talked about me much in my life. It's been a lot of like I worked here, I did this, I did that, I did that. It's like career stuff. Like I've told you my career stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't really talked about my life stuff. I've got into it a little bit of like how I want to make more time for it. But
Right.
this industry, there's you give so much of it to this, and I don't think I've done the best job of giving too much of it to me. I'm beating myself up over it. But 10 years, I would love to have more of it on my family side, and have that be more of a priority. Um, but yeah, career wise, I dropped something over there. Career wise, it's anybody's guess because I also think some good advice I got early on from one of my directors was like, you never know where you're going to be. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you are the leader of the project. Sometimes you're working under somebody, and then it ebbs and flows and stuff like that. Like
Of course.
you're not always going to be on top, and that's as like a standard. Like that's okay. Like I've seen people be like, well, I don't want to do an editor because I really feel right now I should really be a director, and then they don't work because then they're not because there's no directing jobs, there's only editing jobs, and they don't when they feel like it's a step back or a demotion, and it's like somewhat of an ego thing. And I will say, like during the Quibi job, there was at a certain point where like I stopped being invited to meetings, and I remember like, oh man, I feel bad, like because like I was part of the skeleton crew that helped make the show, and then once they got an animation director, once they got a background designer, once they got like more specialized people instead of the generalist that I wasn't needed in these meetings. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I guess I'm not important anymore. I guess I'm, it's like, all the self doubt talk. And then something like clicked in my head of like, hey, this show isn't your baby.
Yeah.
You're doing a job, check your ego at the door. You're here to do a job, do your job the best that you can, and go back home and be on with your day. Like this isn't important. If they don't want to invite you to meetings, this is what it is.
Yeah.
You do the best that you can in the lane that you're in, and you know things have a way of working themselves out from there. So like the career stuff, things change so often. I just hope I'm like a better, well-rounded human in the next 5 years, and I hope I'm like at a very wonderful place at 10 years.
I think
Is
I think that's wonderful stuff to aspire for in the first place. And I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
you hadn't been able to really talk about yourself, but I feel like you've been able to at least like sprinkle a good bit about like just who you are
Yeah.
as a person or what. Like I know the emphasis of this conversation has been like, here's this cool, interesting career about this guy that makes a cartoon about a rat. Like I know that's what more or less the emphasis of is, but I mean, it's not like we've emphasized like with just about everything you've been able to do, especially with the CordaRoy stuff. There is still a good chunk of you that's still in it, and people can definitely see that from like the early experiences like we had talked about, like the growing up and drawing all the time and having that good support system, to emphasizing that like you want to still spend time with like friends and family and how important they can be despite working in this weird and chaotic field. It's not like there's much of a separation between career and lifestyle when it comes to you, at least what I could tell. And that honestly leads into more or less like the last question I want to ask, because I want to actually go above and beyond you when it comes to this last question, because obviously you're deeply interested in art. As we've emphasized, art has been a major part of your life for as long as you can even remember at this point. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
Uh, that's really tough because I think like art is so many different things to so many different people. I think it's such like a flowery answer. I mean, I think like baseline it is important, but art is not the way I see art. It's not drawings on a piece of paper. Like I've had to explain this to my parents that like what I see as art is actually closer to like critical thinking.
Okay.
Like uh so my mother and my dad, they'll look at what I do and they'll be like, wow, I'm just not creative. Um and like I can never do the stuff you do. And I'm like, okay, but those are two different things.
Right.
Because my mother in the kitchen can find the most nothing ingredients and make like the best pasta you've ever had. Or like, oh, we needed to make something. We had guests coming over. I didn't know what to make. And then she makes something and it's like the best food they've ever had. My mother is an incredible cook. She is so creative. And I was like, okay, you might not be painting or drawing, but you are one of the most creative people I've ever seen in this field. That, and I'll describe what I'm talking about with drawing of like I'm in a flow state and I'm here for like 8 hours and I feel so energized by making the thing I made. And she's like, that's exactly how I feel in the kitchen. Where she's like there for like 7 hours and she's making this and she's making that and it's all prepped for like this party, but like she feels like the most like energized there, like the most in her zone. She's able to like put stuff together, and it's like what creativity to me is like critical thinking, and that's my dad as well. Like my dad was building a house in New Hampshire, and there was like a railing that's like a very Mexican house style railing that's like this very curved line, and he specifically wanted that style of balcony railing for his balcony outside. And living in New Hampshire, none of that exists out there. You can't buy that. My dad had to specifically make a table so that he could bend like steel bars into the shape he wanted and then weld them all together in a rail to make the balcony that he wanted. And I told him, it's just like, you might not be painting or drawing, but you come up with inventions to make the thing that you want to make. That is creative as well. Like as human beings, we're all like deeply creative in different kinds of ways. Like, so like, it's not just putting paper and pen, like, look, I made a Peter Griffin. Like, it's not, it's like, look at my original Sonic character. Like that's, to me, that like, there's so many things that are called art. And right. You see that with paper and pencil and drawing and painting and animation and music and film, and these are the things that are categorized as art. And I mean, cooking to a certain extent, it's called the culinary arts. You know,
absolutely.
There's like craftsmanship. There's like carpentry. There's craftsmanship. Like I think there's so many things that fit within the art umbrella. And like I went to an art school that like mainly the school that I went to, most of its money, what people knew it for was its business department and its baseball team.
Yeah.
The art animation part was just like a corner of the school. And there was like one time where the business students put up a bunch of flyers all over the art department saying art's not a real profession, it's not a real job. And I remember my art teacher at the time, the thing she said that I've always stuck with, she was like, oh yeah, art's not important. It's not like anyone had to design all the squiggles and drawings that are on their money.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's true. Like anything you've seen, product design, like a car, like anything you look at had to be designed.
Exactly.
And I also don't expect everyone to be like, oh my gosh, wow, the arches on the McDonald's box is art. Like, no, some of this was just a job, but people did have to design it. And like, it just in the same way that like a plumber comes and fixes your plumbing. You're not thinking like, oh my gosh, you're not just like, wow, it's the most amazing thing that he came and did that. But it's absolutely something that needs to happen. And I'm so thankful that he's a person out there that's doing it, you know, because it is such a valuable part of any home you live in. It's just like, so like, I'm not thinking about the plumber every day. I'm not thinking like, wow, this is incredible pipes. No, but it's important. It's Absolutely. Important. Art is important in the same way that the plumbing is. I'm not going to hold them on the same level.
Right.
But things have had to be like, I also kind of I feel so rambly. I know this podcast is going to be so long, and I'm so sorry that I keep rambling.
No,
but
never apologize. Never apologize.
There's this other end of the spectrum where it's like art is the most important thing in the world, and like everyone should be celebrating the arts because that gets brought up in the conversation of like, oh, AI is doing this and AI is stealing the work of art. I'm sorry, human beings have been stealing the work of artists for forever. Like it's just like it's a wolf in a different sheep's clothing. It's like it was a human being before. It's a computer program now. People complain about the live action Disney remakes, which I also like. Get that shit out of here. I think it's a waste of time, but it makes money. But at the same time, if Walt Disney was alive today, he would have used that technology to make The Jungle Book as well. Like it's not that Walt Disney was like, I love the cartoons. Like sure, there's a degree of him that's like that, but he's a businessman again. Like he's, oh, it's cheaper to make it look this way. Okay, we're doing it that way. The drawings, this takes way too fucking long. Do it this way. Like he would have done the live action remakes if he was alive, you know? And if his frozen head in a jar was on those Darth Maul's spider legs, walking around making decisions in the building, he would have AI do it too. Like it's like to pretend that it's like we have to protect the arts. It's like I feel this is a cynical way of thinking it. Like there's so many people that don't give a shit. Yeah. My brother is like scrolling on Instagram and he like looks at a video and sends it to me. It's like, isn't this funny? It's like, don't send me this AI shit. One, he doesn't tell the difference, and two, even if he does tell the difference, he doesn't care. And that's not, oh, my brother's a bad person. It's just like, again, there's so much content out there, and people are just going about their day to day in their lives. Like they come home people come home. Sometimes maybe the most art they interact with is like the most cartoon they even watch is like the Minions and Family Guy, and to them that's what's art. And I'm happy that even exists, that's even that's a part of the human conversation is the Minions or Family Guy, because that might be the only art that people see is that, or they go to a movie and like, that's the thing. Also, some of the best art you don't notice. Yeah. Like you go to a movie, the best visual effects you don't know. The movie Little Women, at some point in Little Women, Florence Pugh, her character falls through the ice, like it's frozen over, it's the wintertime, but she like falls on a crack and then goes through the ice and she's like gasping for air and water's everywhere and they pull her out. All of that is CG. Yeah. None of that was, all of that was like CG work of like the ice cracking, the water simulation, and you don't even notice it. And it's like one of the best visual effects I've ever seen in a movie. And unless you watch the VFX breakdown that the studio that was contracted by the film production, unless you saw that reel on that production, on that VFX house website, you don't know it's a visual effect. It's like the best art goes unnoticed. And it's not that people don't give a shit, it's that they just don't know. How is there any time for people to know? Yeah. Like the Muppets are some of the most wonderful pieces of art to ever been put out into the public consciousness, and like they were what they were for a time, and like no one's talking, like the people that like it care, but not the regular person isn't walking around thinking about like, man, I really love Kermit. Like they probably, if you bring it up, they'll be like, I do really like Kermit, dude, Fozzie Bear, that dude's funny, but then they move on and they go with their lives. So it's like I don't want to sit around and like preach the gospel of like why art is important. Like there's so many things going on in people's lives that it's like that's just not at the forefront of what they're thinking about, and I can't blame them for that. Right. You know, so like and I'm sorry if I'm a little bit of a downer, but I just kind of fit in this weird realm of like it's important to me. My brother's an airplane mechanic. He builds airplanes, and it's a very important thing for that airplane to move and do what it needs to do. And like I don't understand any of that. And it's not my job to understand any of that. Right. But it is his job to understand that. And he does a damn good job doing it. And thank God that he does what he does to the best of his ability, and he does it because then that means I don't have to think of it. And in that very same way, it's not everyone else's job to think art's important, but it is my job to think art's important. And they will see a little rat that goes, yeah, and that is the result. That's the important part of what they like. Like, people see the result, they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears into it. And yes, it'd be great if people saw a lot of that, but it's also not everyone's job to see that. It's specific people's jobs to know these certain things. Do I think art is important? Yes. Do I think everyone needs to know art is important? Yes. Is everyone going to know that and care? No, and that's okay. Yeah. Sorry, this big rambly answer. Yes, art's important.
No, sure. I was gonna say, honestly, I know, like you said, you feel like you've been rambling this entire episode. I'm always a person that encourages rambling, but even then, with what you're talking about, like, it's a very honest, down-to-earth answer, and I think it's honestly wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself. Like, genuinely.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. That is all the questions I have for you, Napoleon. I've already showered you with Lord knows how much praise in all this time that we've been recording and whatnot, but I'm going to shower you with a little bit more, because it's my podcast, I do what I want. Like I said, ever since I first even started seeing CordaRoy, like, it's always brought me so much joy, and I always enjoy every new adventure and every new little short that I get to see, because it brings a little bit of happiness to my day. It brings a little bit of joy. And that's why I was more than excited to get the chance to actually talk to you, because I can only imagine where some of that joy and that happiness comes from. And I see that, like, it comes from a very, very good, very humble place more than anything else. Getting the chance to hear about you and how you got these incredible opportunities and how you had this love and support on all different fronts or whatnot, like, it makes me, like, really appreciate the fact that you've been able to get these kind of opportunities and go forth and create this kind of stuff. Wow, I hear dogs barking in the background. You're probably going to be hearing that in the afterwards or whatnot. But
it's all good. I love dogs.
I know, right? But no, like, I cannot tell you how much that, like, especially getting the chance to talk with you today, I really do love and appreciate the fact that, like, despite it all, like, despite all the chaos, the peaks and valleys and all this stuff, like, you're still putting out stuff that is honest to you, and you're still putting out stuff that is near and dear to you and that you love, and you take the time and the care to really make it something special. And that you kind of mentioned at one point earlier that, like, people are going to recognize, like, honesty or whatnot. One of the things that I've heard other people talk about, something that I carry with me, is, especially in the art field or whatnot, real is always going to recognize real. And I think with today's conversation that, like, you've really shown that you're really one of the realest artists I've been able to have on this podcast. And I hope a lot of people, I sincerely hope that a lot of people will see that realness and that honesty and enjoy it more if they're not already when it comes to CordaRoy stuff. The long and the short of it is, Napoleon, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for putting yourself out there like you have. And just know that I'm one of thousands at this point, and who knows, maybe millions at one point in the near future. Who knows how far this stuff could potentially go. But just know I'm going to be by your side rooting for you every single step of the way, because I know whatever you're going to be putting out there, it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to bring joy to so many people's faces. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nathan. Oh, what beautiful words. Oh, can we give a round of applause to Nathan? My gosh, that's fantastic.
You don't need to flatter me, all right? We've already been talking on this podcast for, I think it's like at least 3 hours at this point. So
No, yeah, it's going to be, I'm looking at the corner, it's like 1:42. So that puts us already at, like,
yeah,
you're Eastern, so yeah. It's like a 3 hour difference, right?
Yes,
so it's already been like 3 hour 45.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. So, but regardless, like, trust me, it is absolutely worth it. Like, if I didn't think it was worth it, I would have found a way to end this conversation a lot sooner. Okay. But
well, I'm happy. Well, the time flew by. You're a very easy person to talk to. Thank you so much, Nathan.
I appreciate that. Now, if people want to see more about you, if they're not already, and maybe potentially get some ways to support you and see more when it comes to the stuff you're showcasing, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home. Where can people find more about you and CordaRoy?
Well, they can find CordaRoy the Rat on Instagram. It's just CordaRoy the Rat. It's not spelled like the material. It's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. It's CordaY Roy the Rat. It'll come up on searches.
Yeah.
CordaRoy the Rat on Instagram. CordaRoy the Rat on YouTube. Trying to get those YouTube numbers up. CordaRoy the Rat on TikTok. I think those are the 3 places. They want to buy merch. It's CordaRoyTheRat.net.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, what else do I have to plug? Those are the only things I got to plug. I have a Patreon.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it can be important to plug the Patreon.
I have a Patreon. I'm trying to put stuff up there first before it airs. That's been kind of tricky to also do, but the Patreon is up there if you want to support on like a smaller level without buying like a shirt or a plushie. It's there for people that also want to support the cartoon in maybe a different way. So I do have a Patreon as well that I'm going to focus on putting more exclusive stuff up there at some point. But yes, I have CordaRoy the Rat on Patreon, CordaRoy the Rat on YouTube, CordaRoy the Rat on Instagram, and CordaRoy the Rat on TikTok.
Yeah. I'll be sure to have all those links and then some in the description below. So I got you covered. Don't worry about that.
And you can cut all this down at some point. It's like, feel free to cut as much as you need to.
Oh, no, trust me.
The ramblings.
There's going to be some that I'm probably going to edit out here and there, but like, I'm also a very laid back editing person. So like, don't be surprised if this episode does come out to be over 3 hours long. All right.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Do you have any?
No,
Then what are you gonna say?
What?
Oh, you were gonna say something like, "No, they're gonna find out," or what?
You'll never know.
I guess I will never know. Do you have any final words before we do sign off?
Hold on, give me 1 second. I might have one final word. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. I, folks at home, I think I know what he's potentially bringing out. I think. Is this gonna be what I think it is?
Hold up.
Oh. Is it what
I can't hear you.
Is it gonna be what I think it is?
There's only one final word that I feel is maybe appropriate. Yeah.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me it's parts in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, pick me up in the car you drove when you used to call. Show me it all.
And then I'm gonna literally edit it to where it ends right when he says yeah. I love that puppet. So you'll know how much I love the puppet. Oh, it's so great. Actually, you know what? I gotta include this little interaction as well. I gotta keep him in here as well. With that,
that's gonna be super. That's super disappointing for the trailer. That like this shows up at the 4 hour mark. This was just sitting in the corner. Didn't ever bring it up. That'd be very disappointing for all your viewers. That's almost false advertising, right?
Well, see, the thing is, my ads are only just like a single clip that's like halfway through the conversation or whatnot. It's not like a compilation of clips or whatnot.
Right, yeah.
But no, that's I just love that puppet.